Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting series on what if Naruto had Legenday power of Rangers. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. 16 years ago, a fierce battle between two people raged in a clearing in the forest outside Konoha. One of the two was a masked man dressed in nearly all black, to the point that it was almost as if he was made of darkness. The other was a man wearing a unique red suit and a red helmet with a black visor over the eyes. "You should give up, Minato," the dark man said as the red-suited warrior teleported behind him, slashing his sword at the dark man, but the sword passed through the man's body, and he was unharmed. "You know that I can't do that. Not after what you've done," the red-suited warrior responded as he leapt back and threw a series of kunai at the other man. However, before the kunai made contact, the dark man disappeared and was instantly behind Minato. Before he could do whatever he had planned, Minato had already teleported away, and was in a nearby tree. A distance away, a large beast, a giant fox with 9 tails, was on a rampage, intent on making sure all in its path would suffer its wrath. On the ground, 3 warriors, all wearing similar suits to Minato, though their colors differed, with there being one in black, one in blue, and one in yellow. The 3 warriors each held a high-tech gun-like weapon in their hands, and fired the weapon at the beast. Unfortunately, the blasts were little more than bug bites to the monster. "Damn, this isn't working," the man in the black suit said. "We can see that," the man in the blue suit said. "There's no need to inform us of the obvious, Uchiha, unless that's all you're good for. If we weren't busy trying to fight this beast, I'd be firing this blaster at you for that, Hyuga. Fugaku, Hizashi, quit bickering with each other and do something more productive than arguing with one another. Maybe try to think of some way to defeat the Kyuubi," the man in the yellow suit said to the other 2. Just then, large chains seemed to come out of nowhere, and bound the beast to the ground. Simultaneously, a giant domed barrier was erected around the area. The monorous fox struggled with all its power to get up, but try as it might, it was all in vain, and the chains held it in place. Nearby, a woman in similar suit that was pink stood, using one hand to support herself on a tree, and cradling something wrapped in cloth with her other arm. She appeared to be very weak, and was clearly in a great amount of pain, and was breathing heavily. "Can't believe you guys tried to fight this thing without me." She managed to get out. "Kushina, what the hell are you doing here?" the man in the black suit demanded of the woman as he and the other 2 ran over to her. Back with Minato, the clearing was littered with hundreds of kunai, but both Minato and the dark man seemed to be unharmed, though they both showed signs of growing exhaustion. "I'm surprised you've managed to last this long, Minato," the dark man mocked. "I could say the same about you," Minato retorted. Present day, a blonde boy of 16 ran through the village of Konoha as fast as he could. "Aw man, I'm gonna be late as hell. I really hope Granny isn't gonna be too mad," he said to himself. He wore clothes that were primarily orange with some black. He was in such a hurry that he knocked several people aside and didn't look back nor stop, though he did apologize to those he did. His name was Naruto Uzumaki, and he was very late for a meeting with the Hokage. A meeting he was supposed to have arrived at an hour ago. "Stupid alarm clock. Why the hell did it have to break on me?" he grumbled. He made his way to the village's administration building, and burst through the doors, heading to the Hokage's office. "I've got an appointment," he said as he continued running, and head up the stairs and down a hallway towards a specific office, and pushed the door open so hard that no one would have been surprised if it came off of its hinges. "I'm really sorry I'm late. Please don't punish me, Granny," he said as he bowed his head. Present in the room were several others. Sitting behind the desk of the office was an old man. He was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Hokage of Konoha. "It's all right, Naruto," he said with a groan. Standing nearby the Hokage were 3 others. There was an older-looking man with long, spiky white hair. Next to him stood a man with very pale skin and long black hair. And finally was an attractive woman with blonde hair and a very large bust. The woman sighed and shook her head. "I'll let you off the hook this time, kid. Just get in line." And finally, standing in front of the desk were 5 others, who were all around Naruto's age. There was a boy who was a few years older than Naruto with long red hair that covered one of his eyes, with the uncovered one having a ripple-like pattern in it. Next to him on his left was a girl the same age as him with long blue hair that was tied into a bun on top of her head, with an origami flower on it. Next to her was a girl that was the same age as Naruto with pink hair, and a forehead that was a bit larger than normal. Next to the pink-haired girl was a timid-looking girl with long dark blue hair and white eyes. On the red-headed boy's right was a boy that was also the same age as Naruto and the pink-haired girl with black hair that was spiked up in the back. The pink-haired girl had a look of annoyance on her face. Naruto quickly moved to a position next to the black-haired boy. "What the hell took you so long, idiot?" said boy asked. Aggravation could be heard in his tone. "Oh, shut up, Sasuke," Naruto told him. "Just be quiet right now, both of you," the pink-haired girl said sternly. "Fine, Sakura." Naruto reluctantly agreed. He really didn't get along with Sasuke, but he just couldn't say no to the pink-haired girl. "HMPH," was all Sasuke said. Ignoring the brief argument between the boys, the Hokage started to speak up. "I'm glad that the 6 of you could make it," he started. "Now, as you may know, I've called you here to review how your special training has been going." "Yes, sir," all 6 replied in unison. Now, since Naruto didn't arrive right away, I took the time to already go over the files, Hiruzen said, and Sasuke and Sakura glared at Naruto. Ignoring them, he continued. "Nagato, Naruto, and Konan. The 3 of you have been training under Jiraiya." "Yes, sir," Naruto, the red-headed boy, and the blue-haired girl responded. "According to his notes, you have all shown remarkable skill. Of you 3, Nagato has shown remarkable potential, being extremely adept in ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu. It's to be expected of one who possesses the Rinnegan," the pale man commented. "I wouldn't say it's all thanks to the boy's eyes, Orochimaru," the white-haired man said. "Next, Naruto, while you are very lacking in genjutsu, you possess great aptitude to using high-level ninjutsu, though your taijutsu is average. However, you also possess remarkable stamina and a high chakra reserve, likely the highest of all 5 of you," Hiruzen said, and Naruto grinned with pride at the last part. "And as for Konan, you show great skills in the area of ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu, and you show excellent teamwork skills, possibly the best of the 6 of you. And according to Jiraiya, you have also developed unique, origami-themed jutsu, which include the ability to turn your entire body into paper." "Yes, sir," the blue-haired girl, Konan said. "Very good. Next, Sasuke. You are currently Orochimaru's single student." "Yes, sir," Sasuke responded. "Like Nagato, you are very adept in ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu. In addition, you are also said to be very skilled in kenjutsu, using a sword primarily for combat," Hiruzen said, and Sasuke nodded. "Lastly, Sakura and Hinata. Both of you are currently the students of Tsunade." "Yes, sir," Sakura and the last girl, Hinata, rest Sakura. "According to her notes, you possess a talent for genjutsu, and thanks to Tsunade's teachings, possess impressive strength." He then changed pages. "And as for Hinata, your taijutsu form is excellent, though you do need to work on your confidence. You also currently possess average ninjutsu and genjutsu skills." He then paused briefly. "Also, unlike the others, you both have also been trained in medical jutsu, meaning you will be invaluable to your teammates in the future." He then reread through the documents for another minute or two. "And according to the rest of the notes, all 6 of you have been performing well in the joint training where all 5 of you are trained by all 3 of my former students." "Yee, sir," all 6 students responded. Although there is notable friction between Naruto and Sasuke, he added, and Naruto and Sasuke looked in the opposite direction of one another with a HMPH, and Hiruzen silently glanced through the papers one last time. "Anyway, it appears that your training is progressing well. Keep up the good work, and continue to improve. This should conclude the review." Hey old man, can I ask you something?" Naruto spoke up. "Yes. What do you want to know, Naruto?" the Hokage said as he looked at the blonde. "Are you ever gonna tell us why we go through this special training? Why is it so secret?" "In time, Naruto. For now, just continue with things as they've been, and everything will be explained when the time comes." Yeah, the blonde said. "You are all dismissed," the Hokage said, and the 6 of them bowed before leaving the room. Once they had all left the room, Jiraiya spoke up. "So, what do you think? They should be ready to take up the mantle in a few years," he said. "Hell, I think they're ready now." "I'm not so sure," Tsunade said. "Some of them are more ready than others. We need wait until they're all ready, not just some of them. While it's true that Nagato and Konan are far above the others, there is only one who might not be up for the task in time. And as cold as it might seem, don't forget, we only need 5 of them, and it's clear the Hyuga is the weakest link. Orochimaru said. Tsunade glared at the man, clearly not agreeing with his stance. And that's not even counting the other candidates. Regardless, their training is not complete, and there is still a few more years left on the seal. We have plenty of time, Hiruzen said. In another location, far from Konoha, known as Otto, the village hidden in sound, a young man with gray hair and glasses sat at a table. Nearby him, there was several others. There were 3 people, all of them young. There was a boy with his face bandaged up, leaving only his eyes exposed, a boy with black hair that was in a sort of wild and spiky style, and a girl with long black hair. All of them had headband with a metal plate with a mark on them that resembled a musical note. So, we're finally going to get to act soon? The black-haired boy asked, looking in the direction of the young man with glasses. Yeah, I can't wait, the girl said. Zaku, Kin, be patient, the bandaged boy said. Yes, listen to Dosu you too. You'll get to have your fun soon, the young man said. But for now, you'll just have to wait until we get the okay from the boss, he then added as he adjusted his glasses. Man, why do they have to be so mysterious? Can't they just tell us why they're training us? Naruto complained as he put his hands behind his head. I'm sure it's for a very good reason, Naruto, Nagato said as he and Konan walked up besides him while the other 3 all went in separate directions. I guess, but I still want to know. They said they'd explain eventually, so let's just be patient for now. Okay, I got. No need to keep lecturing me. You're just my cousin, not my father, Naruto said. Yeah, but someone has got to do it for him since you don't have one. Or would you prefer the alternative? Nagato said with smile and a light pat on Naruto's back. Yeah, you're right. Don't want old pervy sage lecturing me, the blonde said with a laugh. Not long after that, the 3 of them entered the apartment where they stayed together. So why didn't you guys wake me up this morning? You left without me. We actually left earlier to prepare for something. Remember, we told you we're leaving on a mission today? Konan said. Naruto vaguely recalled being told such information. The 3 of them then entered into the living room, and Nagato and Konan stopped before a picture of a grinning boy with spiky orange hair and offered up a quick prayer for him. The picture was of a close friend of theirs by the name of Yahiko who was no longer with them. After a minute, they both went to their rooms to get their bags. Try not to mess up the apartment while we're gone, Naruto, Nagato said as they walked towards the door. Yeah, I know, Naruto replied before they left. So how was the review? An older boy asked Sasuke as he entered his home. He was Sasuke's older brother, Itachi Uchiha. Boring, Sasuke replied, and Naruto showed up late, so he had to wait longer. I see, Itachi replied. Well, at least your training is going well, I suppose. TCH, I'm only part of the training because you turned it down, Sasuke commented. That's not completely true. The fact that you are a part of it means you were considered from the start, Itachi said. And don't tell me you would have turned it down just because I would have been part of it. Of course not, Sasuke replied. You know my goal. Of course I do. You want to surpass me, Itachi said as he picked up a bag. I'm going to be gone on a mission for a while. Try to fend for yourself while I'm gone. He then gave Sasuke a quick jab on the forehead before walking out the door. Sasuke rubbed the spot where he had been poked before going further into their home. The 2 lived alone, as they were the last of their clan. In the Hokage's office, Nagato, Konan, and Itachi now stood before him. Thank you all for coming, Hiruzen greeted. It was no problem at all, Lord Hokage, Nagato said. Yes, I'm sure, he said as he placed a file on the desk. The mission is nothing special. You 3 shouldn't have much problem with it. Yes, sir, they said as they bowed before leaving the room. Hinata, how was the review of your training? Hinata's father, Hiyashi Hyuga, asked her. It went well, father, Hinata said as she sat in before him and bowed her head for him. The Hokage congratulated us on our good work. I see, and what was said about your skills specifically in the report? He said that I have excellent form for my taijutsu, but my ninjutsu and genjutsu was average. I see. Anything else? He also commented on my medical training, but that is all. I see. That is all. You may leave now. Yes, father, she said as she stood up. His tone hadn't changed, but she could tell that he seemed disappointed with her. It's been a while since you've gone on a mission with us, Itachi, Conan said as the team leapt through the trees. She then reached into her pocket and pulled out a picture and looked at it for a moment. I suppose it has. The Uchiha responded. Makes you feel relaxed, doesn't it? Conan said. With the three of us together, nothing is too hard of a problem. I guess so. Nagato agreed from the lead position. He then noticed something up ahead of them. He thought it looked like it might be a person. Lord Hokage, I have some troubling news, an attendant said as he walked into the office. What is it? Hiruzen asked. We haven't received any communications from Nagato's team since they left yesterday. What? The Hokage asked with surprise. Those three would usually always be on time with a mission report. Yes, sir. At first, we thought the possibility that they're in a place where that was not an option. However, these were discovered not far from the village by a returning team this morning. The attendant then placed several objects on the Hokage's desk, including the mission file he had given to the team yesterday, and several other possessions, including Air Went Anywhere Without, one of the three of them in Yahiko when they had been younger. Upon checking the area, there were several kunai and shuriken embedded into a tree, and other signs indicating a brief struggle occurred. However, no bodies were discovered. Toby did his job. Toby did his job. Just like a good boy. A man with an orange mask with a spiral pattern exclaimed excitably as he appeared in auto, almost as if he was singing. We won't be seeing these three in our way. Not at all, he said, placing 3 cylindrical crystals on the table that each appeared to have a miniature person inside them. So you sealed them away? Good job, Toby, Kabuto said. I told you, Kabuto, Toby is a good boy. How the hell did that idiot ever manage to take out 3 of Konoha's best shinobi? Kin asked in disbelief. It was a seal that our master developed, Kabuto told her. So, all that's left is to eliminate the Hokage, a boy with white hair and a slightly pale complexion said as he entered the room. That's correct, Kimimaro, Kabuto said as he turned to the boy, who was followed by 4 others. So, when are we gonna move in and take out the old fart? One of the newcomers, a girl with dark pink hair who wore a hat on her head, asked. Soon, Tayuya, Kabuto told her. The fact that we've made our move and taken out 3 of the most troubling pawns that Konoha had is proof of that. I still don't see what was so threatening about them, another said, a boy with a pale complexion who appeared to have blue lipstick on, and seemed to have a second head growing out of his back. Why wastes those crystal prisons them on when we only have 3? Why not use them on the Hokage? They couldn't have been all that tough. I wouldn't be so sure, Sakin. We couldn't have afforded to underestimate them, especially considering that 2 of them possessed such fearsome ocular prowess. Yes, Itachi possessed the Sharingan, while Nagato possessed the Rinnegan. A figure said as he suddenly appeared in the shadows of the room. We couldn't have afforded to leave such powerful pieces in the game, especially considering what sort of position they were in. Ideally, I would have liked to have taken all the candidates out, but the rest that I've seen can't be much of a threat, regardless of what power they might receive. Ah, our Lord has chosen to appear before us in person, Kabuto said. So, does this mean that we're gonna move out now? Of course, Orochimaru said as he stepped out of the shadows. We shall begin our attack on Konoha today. What? Naruto yelled out in shock. What do you mean Nagato and Conan are missing? What the hell happened to them? He demanded as he slammed his fist on the desk in front of him and leaned over as far as could over it, and was almost directly in the Hokage's face. Naruto, please calm down, Hiruzen said. How can I be calm? My cousin and Conan are missing. Naruto, do as he says and calm down, Jiraiya said sternly, and Naruto saw that his face was as serious as he had ever seen it. Naruto wasn't surprised though. The 3 of them were all like his very own children to him, and he had been just as affected when they had learned that Yahiko had died on a mission. Naruto backed away, and took a deep breath. So tell me, do we have any leads? Sasuke asked. None. The Hokage told them solemnly. We only called you 3 here at first to inform you of the situation, as you were those closest to them. Hiruzen-sensei, I don't like the way this feels, Jiraiya said. Something is going on, I can just feel it. Yes, I agree. Those 3 are some of our best shinobi, and they've suddenly turned up missing, and apparently not far from the village. Something is going on, and I'm going to begin taking steps to prevent the worst-case scenario, Hiruzen said as he stood up, and turned to one of 2 attendants. Summon Tsunade, Orochimaru, Sakura Haruno, and Hinata Hyuga to my office. Yes sir, he replied before leaving to do as he was told. And you, I want you to bring me our fastest messenger bird, as he said as he turned to the other attendant. Yes, sir, she said as she left to fulfill her order. What's going on, old man? Naruto asked with interest. Naruto, do you remember yesterday when you asked me what your training has been for? Yeah. It's much earlier than when we had intended, but with this situation, I think it's time that you found out. Atop of a tall building inside the village of Konoha, a hidden paper tag with a seal began glow with an ominous light, and a dark vortex opened up in the area. Outside of the vortex stepped Kimimaro, Tayuya, and two other boys, one large boy, and another with tan skin and 6 arms. Those seals sure are useful, Sakin said. With them, we can travel between Oto and Konoha in an instant. Yes, and Lord Orochimaru has such seals located throughout the village, Kimimaro said. Come on, let's just get started, Tayuya said, and the other 4 nodded in agreement. Then, out of the dark vortex stepped out several strange ninja. They were all identical in appearance, with gray skin and a pair of horns on the front of their head, and wore suits of black and white with the colors in a camouflage. They all wore black masks that covered their entire faces, with their horns poking out, and the only other opening being the holes for their glowing red eyes. In another, separate location in the village, another of the exact same seals were located, and another dark vortex opened. Out of this vortex stepped Kabuto, Zaku, Kin, Dosu, and Tobi. Yippee! We're on Konoha now, Tobi said in his usual excited manner. Why is that idiot in our group? Zaku complained. Because we're not the Sound 5, Kin said, though she clearly was just as annoyed by the masked man's antics. Now, Tobi does have his uses. After all, he can't be harmed thanks to his ability to become intangible. Kabuto said. It was that ability that allowed him to capture the ones with the dojutsu and their friend. Whatever the reason, it doesn't matter, Dosu said. Yes, of course. Let's begin with the attack. Kabuto agreed, and more of the strange ninja stepped out after them. Back in the Hokage's office, Tsunade, Sakura, and Hinata had arrived. Where is Orochimaru? He asked. I don't know, sir, his attendant said. He couldn't be located, almost as if he wasn't in the village. Hiruzen groaned. This situation was becoming worse by the moment. First Nagato's team had disappeared, and now his best student couldn't be found. We'll have to start without him, Hiruzen said as he got up and opened a hidden compartment in the wall of the office and placed a chest on the desk. Opening the chest, it revealed 5 devices. Each one mostly colored silver, but with a secondary color that varied for each one, with the secondary colors being red, blue, yellow, black, and pink. They were each rectangular in shape, and with a round part on one end with a circle in device's secondary color. Each one also had a set of buttons on the top screen that covered and a single button on their left side. What are those? Hinata asked as she and the other 3 gathered around. These are called the Shinobi morphers. They are mysterious artifacts that were discovered by the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and they are passed down to be guarded by each person who takes the position of Hokage. Their true origins are unknown, but legends say they may have been created by the Sage of 6 Paths. The Sage of 6 Paths, but isn't he himself just a legend? Sakura questioned. Perhaps, or perhaps not, but the fact remains, these artifacts possess great power. You are all being trained with the intent of some of one day taking these and inheriting their powers. What kind of power? Sasuke inquired. The power that has protected Konoha for generations. Those who use these become great warriors. Really? Well then, what are we waiting for? Give me one, Naruto said as he reached over to grab one, but his hand was slapped away by Sakura. Naruto, don't be rude, she said, don't just try and take one. It's alrighted as he reached in and took the red one and handed it to Naruto, then the black one and handed it to Sasuke, followed by handing the pin one to Sakura, and lastly, the blue one to Hinata. Put those on your arms, he said, and they did as told. He then placed 4 high-tech looking scrolls that corresponded to their morphers colors on the table. Now, these work similarly to summoning pacts. Sign your names in them with your blood, and you will then be able to use the morphers. Naruto opened the red scroll, and was surprised by the last name put in there. Minato Namikaze? Whoa, the 4th Hokage, he said out loud, almost ecstatic. He was gonna be just like the 4th Hokage. Sasuke noticed the name right before his as well. Fugaku Uchiha. My father was one, was all he said. Sakura noticed the name in the pink scroll. While she didn't know who it was, the surname was one well known to her. Kushina Uzumaki. I wonder if she has any relation to Naruto and Nagato. Hinata also recognized the previous name in the blue scroll, Hisashi Hyuga, as that of her deceased uncle, her cousin Neji's father. Doing as they were told, they signed them and closed the scrolls. As soon as they were closed, a colored light on each scroll lit up, and the colors of their morphers did as well. In the colored circles on the morphers, the Konoha symbol appeared. Perfect, Hiruzen said as he placed the yellow shinobi morpher and yellow high-tech looking scroll as well as a note onto a normal scroll before he sealed them into it. What are you doing with the yellow one? Naruto asked. The person that will be receiving it is not present, nor is he in Konoha, so I've enclosed instructions to be sent to him, informing him of the situation, and telling him to come immediately. Hiruzen stated, then attached the scroll to the bird he had requested earlier, then opened his window and let it fly away to its destination. Now, in order to activate the power of the shinobi morphers, you having a meeting without me? Orochimaru said as he entered the room. Ah, there you are Orochimaru. Hiruzen greeted his other student. Where have you been? Nagato and his team has disappeared, Jiraiya said. Yes, so I've been informed, Orochimaru said as he walked in. He then took note of the morphers, the arms of Naruto and the others. So, those are the shinobi morphers? Yes, they are. Tsunade said. Now, we need to. It was Otto, the village hidden in sound, that captured them. Orochimaru cut her off. What, Otto? I've never heard of that village, Jiraiya said. It is a new village that has been keeping its existence secret since it was established a few years ago, Orochimaru explained. They wish ill will against Konoha, and were after Nagato and Itachi because they fear their eyes being used against them. They captured them because they plan to attack the village soon with the intent of its destruction. What? When? Naruto asked. He already didn't like this village for capturing his cousin and Konan, but wanting to destroy the village was even worse. I'll take out every last one of them, he proudly declared. A sinister smile formed on Orochimaru's face. Well then, you'll get that chance, he said, because we're attacking right now. And as if on K, several explosions went of inside the village. Orochimaru let out a wicked laugh before declaring, and I'm confident of our victory, and with that, Orochimaru charged at Hiruzen with great speed, and a snake came out of his mouth, and from the snake mouth, a sword. Quick to react, a smoke bomb came out of the sleeve of Hiruzen's robe, and he leapt through the window. As he left the smoke, he had already shed the robe that he wore, revealed black armor, and a helmet under his hat. Orochimaru had given chase, and was quickly followed by Jiraiya and Tsunade. As the smoke cleared in the office, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Hinata still stood there, unsure of what to do. However, before they could think, the office was filled by Otto's ninja soldiers. Okay then, let's give these things a try, Naruto said as he held out his left arm, where his shinobi morpher was now attached. He stood there for a few seconds before turning back to his friends. So how do these things work? How do these things work? Naruto asked as he faced the others. It was only now that they were realizing that the Hokage hadn't told them how to activate the devices he had given them. Forget about them for now, Sasuke said as he drew the sword that he usually had with him, ready to fight. Let's just fight these things without them for now. Yeah, Sasuke is right, Sakura agreed. We don't know how to use them yet, so we'll just have to fight as we would normally. It was then that the Otto ninja charged at them. A group came at Naruto, who leapt over them and kicked one towards Sasuke, who cut it in half. As its two halves fell to the ground, they began to dissolve into a black substance that was almost like ash. What the hell? Sakura asked. She had never seen anything like that happen before. Ignore it. Just fight them off, Sasuke said as he cut another in half. Sakura nodded and gave a powerful punch to one that had leapt at her. The blow was powerful, and sent it flying into a group of them. Meanwhile, Hinata evaded one of them, and activated her Byakugan. As she looked upon the Otto ninja, she saw something strange. They didn't seem to possess any sort of chakra network. Though considering what had happened to one of them when Sasuke had cut it in half, she figured that they shouldn't really be surprised. Regardless of this fact, she struck one with several strikes of her family's gentle fist style. They fell back, but like the ones that Sakura had hit, they didn't dissolve like the one Sasuke had cut. It looks like taijutsu, while capable of harming them, isn't able to defeat them. They just get back up eventually. I guess you gotta cut them up to get rid of them for good, Naruto commented. Orochimaru slashed his blade at Hiruzen, who dodged it, and countered with a powerful punch to the man's gut, who staggered back from the attack. Before the pale man could recover, a long rope-like lock of hair wrapped around him, and pulled him towards Jiraiya, who stood next to Tsunade. As soon as Jiraiya released their now former comrade, Tsunade let loose a powerful punch as she hit the man so hard into the ground. A large amount of dust and debris flew up. The two of them then joined the village leader and their old teacher. As the dust cleared, Orochimaru got off and brushed some dust off of his shoulder. He looked to be completely unharmed. Orochimaru, what is the meaning of this? Why are you doing it? Hiruzen demanded. Why the hell are you trying to destroy the village? Tsunade asked. And what have you done with Nagato and Konan? Jiraiya added. Orochimaru let out a dark chuckle. You're surprised, aren't you? The truth is, I haven't cared for this village in a long time, he said. Honestly, it's nothing personal. It's just that, I've gained all that I can by remaining in this village. After all, I'm sure you would all frown upon the things I've been doing in secret. You never did seem like the type to be open to the kinds of human experimentation I've been doing, sensei. I'll ask again. What have you done with Nagato and Konan? Jiraiya reiterated. Relax, they're both safe. Itachi as well. In fact, I'll show you, he said as he pulled out the crystals with them inside. I just needed these three out of the way. After all, the three were all the most powerful candidates among the choices to receive the Shinobi morphers. They would be even more of a problem if they were chosen. He then put the crystals away. Anyway, back onto the subject of why I'm doing this. It's for a number of reasons, some of them better than others, but I don't really need to elaborate them to you all. He then held up his sword once more. Now, I think that is enough talk, he said as he charged at the three. Hey, come on, stop trying to attack me, Tobi whined as several Konoha shinobi tried to attack him, but all of them effortlessly through his body. What's with this guy? One of the Konoha shinobi asked another. None of our attacks have any effect on him, another said. Then, the group was blasted away by a sonic blast. As they struggled to get back up, they were surrounded by a group of Otto's foot soldier ninjas, as well as Zaku, Dosu, and Kin. Man, these grunts are weak, Zaku declared. Of course, we're only as strong as we are thanks to Lord Orochimaru, Dosu said. Who cares what the reason is, Kin said, we're winning and they're losing. Elsewhere, a larger battle was taking place. A group of Konoha ninja was suddenly trapped by a large dome of earth forming around them. Another group was then trapped by a large spider web net landing on them and immobilizing them. Another group was caught in a genjutsu caused by a wicked melody played on a flute. Then there was a group that was engaging two of Otto's members, Saken and Kimimaro. Kimimaro gracefully evaded all attacks that by his enemies, and countered by striking them down with weapons that he created from his bones. Saken meanwhile, showed the ability to grow an extra set of limbs, using a second set of arms that he was able to form at any location on his body. I see that those five are enjoying themselves, Kabuto commented as he sat atop a building, and watched the battle below him. He then stood up. He had his own job to do now, so it was time for him to get to it. In another location, Naruto's group had left the office and were now doing their best to try and locate where the Hokage and the others had gone to. This was made thanks to Hinata's Byakugan. The problem was the Otto ninja getting in their way. They weren't all that strong, but there was a lot of them. Naruto charged at another group of the Otto ninja, kicking one away, then ducking under the punch of another and countered by punching it in the gut and followed up with a few more. Sakura meanwhile let loose powerful punches to the enemy, sending one flying into groups of them. Hinata on the other hand, evaded and retaliated with her gentle fist. Sasuke was having the easiest time, with his sword cutting through them, causing them to dissolve into the black ash. Though they had also discovered earlier that enough damage would eventually cause them dissolve to ash as well, but they still showed to be able to take large amounts of damage before they did finally dissolve on their own. Naruto hit another away and he backed away, and similarly, Sasuke, Sakura, and Hinata did as well, and the four were back to back with each other. So how much further, Hinata? Naruto asked. Not much, but there's just so many of these strange ninja between us and them, Hinata replied. They also keep moving to different areas constantly, so I can't say for certain when we'll finally get there. Then we'll just have to keep fighting our way through these things until we finally reach them, Sasuke said. That's easy for you to say, Sakura said. You're the only one here actually getting rid of any of them in a single strike thanks to your sword. The rest of us are stuck just punching them until they don't get back up. Who cares? Sasuke has a point. Let's just keep fighting our way through these things, Naruto said. Hiruzen was breathing heavily. He wasn't sure how long this battle had been going on, but it clearly taking its toll on his elderly body. He wasn't as young as he used to be, and though he was still a powerful man, he was past his prime. Next to him, Jiraiya and Tsunade were clearly in much better shape than him. They had also taken the most damage, intending on protecting their teacher in his weaker state. Orochimaru stood across from them, and was in the best shape. It was strange, but nothing seemed to harm him. Tsunade had struck him with her strongest punches, and Jiraiya had hit him with the Rasengan, but nothing seemed to keep him down. He would keep getting back up, and continuing as if nothing had happened. What the hell is with him? Nothing we hit him with is doing anything to him, Jiraiya said. I don't know what he's done to his body, but he's made it tougher somehow, Tsunade said. Ah, so you've noticed. Orochimaru said. Yes, I've done a few experiments on myself as well. Among the results, this body of mine is quite a bit tougher thanks to them. You're as twisted as ever. Yes, I suppose so. Orochimaru said. Now, let's make this more interesting. He then formed a seal with his hand, and 2 cylindrical coffins appeared beside him. They opened, and 2 creatures stepped out. Both were humanoid snake-like creatures, with one looking like a cobra, and the other resembled a rattlesnake. A group of 5 of Konoha's skilled shinobi were effortlessly taking out the auto ninja foot soldiers. One of them was known as Kakashi Hatake, and at one time, he was once the teacher of Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke when the 3 had graduated from the academy. Another was known as Might Guy, and he was an expert in taijutsu, and he showed it as he used it to take out the auto ninja. Another was Asuma Sarutobi, and he was the son of Hiruzen. Kurenai Yuhi was another of them, and she was once Hinata's teacher when she had graduated from the academy. The 5th one was known as Anko Mitarashi, and she was once a student under Orochimaru. The 5 of them together had taken out a large group of the foot soldiers on their own. As the last one fell, they heard the sound of clapping coming from the top of a Nibi building. Looking up, they saw Kabuto standing there. Good job taking them out as easily as you did. But that's to be expected of some of Konoha's finest, he said. So, are you the one responsible for this? Asuma demanded. Me? No, I'm just a lowly subordinate myself, he responded. The true mastermind is one of your own. What do you mean by that? Kurenai asked. Otto's leader is Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin. What? Anko said, notably shocked. In fact, he's engaging the Hokage and the other 2 members of the Sannin right now. Kabuto said. Anyway, enough small talk, I'm just here to deliver a more fitting opponent for shinobi of your caliber. He then formed a seal with his hands. A cylindrical coffin suddenly appeared in front of the 5. As it opened, a humanoid figure stepped out of the coffin. While it was humanoid in shape, appearance was another matter. It had pure black skin, and a monstrous face that resembled a beast, as well as clawed hands. Enjoy, Kabuto said as he vanished. Naruto and the other continued their advance, still hindered by the auto ninja foot soldiers that continued to sword them. Naruto ducked under one's attack, kicked it away, then when Anther came at him, he dodged its attack, saw another one coming at him, grabbed the one that had attacked him and pushed it into the one coming at him. As the 2 got up, they were joined by 2 more, and the 4 ran at Naruto. As H got ready to defend himself from them, another was sent flying by one of Sakura's punches, and into the group of 4, sending them flying as well. Sakura meanwhile evaded the attack of the ones coming at her, and waiting for the right moment to use her strength to send one flying into a larger group. She was also aided by Hinata, with the 2 of them working well together thanks to their training. As Sakura would duck under the attack of one, Hinata would retaliate for her and use her gentle fist to strike it away, and when one came at her from behind as she did this, Sakura sent it flying with a powerful punch to the face. Sasuke meanwhile simply used his sword to slice the heads off of several, then cut one in half, and evaded another that had tried to attack him and cut its arms off. He then quickly stabbed his sword behind him, and into the gut of one that had come at him from behind. Damn it, for everyone we take out, it's like 2 more take its place, Naruto yelled out in frustration. We're getting nowhere like this. There's gotta be some easier way to do this. It was then that the screens on their shinobi morphers began to glow, and suddenly, there was a flash of yellow light. As the light quickly diw a new person standing nearby them, a boy that was their own age. He had dark red hair, and had dark rings around his eyes and a red tattoo of the kanji for love on the left side of his forehead. He was dressed in long crimson coat and with grey vest, and a large gourd on his back, and saw a headband with the symbol for Suna, the village, hidden in the sand around his arm. They also saw the yellow shinobi morpher on his left arm. Before Naruto and those other could question the newcomer, the gourd on his back opened up, and sand came out from it. As he motioned with his hands, the sand moved and knocked away the auto ninja that moved to attack him, as well as the ones that were attacking Naruto and the others. He then gathered all of the auto ninja together, then engulfed them in sand, and crushed them all with the sand, reducing them all to ash. As the immediate area was cleared of them for now, Naruto and the others. Thanks a lot for the help, whatever your name is, Naruto said. My name is Gara. The newcomer identified himself. Right, got it. How did you get that? Sasuke asked as he pointed at the yellow shinobi morpher on Gara's arm. It was sent to Suna by one of your messenger birds, where the Kazekage gave it to me, Gara explained. But you're not from this village, so then why do you have it? Why was it sent to Suna? As part of a treaty between our two villages during the previous war, it was agreed that when 5 were chosen to be given the shinobi morphers, 1 would be given to a Suna shinobi. In fact, my father, the current Kazekage of my village, was the previous one to use this morpher. Gara explained, holding up the yellow scroll, showing his signature and the one before it. Okay, Sakura said. So then, how did you get here? As my father told me, the shinobi morphers possess a special function that lets the people who have them teleport to the location of one of the other 5. Gara explained as he held up his shinobi morpher, and presses one of the buttons on it, and on the screen, they saw an image that showed 5 dots of each of the morpher's colors on it. They also noticed that in the yellow circle on the morpher, instead of Konoha's leaf insignia, they saw the one for Suna there. Those dots show that we're all together. You can use the morphers buttons to scroll through the location to pick one of the other morphers to teleport to. But it only works if you're a certain distance away, since it was only meant to reinforce the others when they're too far away to reach fast enough. Sounds a bit confusing, Naruto remarked, but whatever. Anyway, since it looks like this village is having problems, I think we should activate the morphers and transform. We would, but unfortunately, we don't know how, Hinata said. Before the Hokage could explain anything about these things, this whole invasion happened, Sasuke said. That's fine. My father already instructed me how, Gara said. What? Really? Well, why didn't you say so sooner? Naruto said. Come on, show us. It's simple, really. Gara held up his morpher and showed them the button on its side. You just press that button and say the activation phrase, ninja art, shinobi change, and you transform. That's it? Sasuke asked and Gara nodded. Well then, what are we waiting for? Let's do it, Naruto declared. The 5 then stood at each other's sides. Ninja art, they all said in unison as they all held their arms with the morphers up in front of their faces. Shinobi change, they said as they all pressed their buttons at the same time. They were each engulfed in a light that was the same color as their morpher. As the light died down, they were each now dressed in a suit that matched their morpher color with a helmet of the same color. On the helmet, there was a silver ring that somewhat resembled the headbands that each had with the insignia of their village on the front over its black visor, and under the visor, there was a gray panel on the area over the mouth. They also each had a holster with a blaster on their sides, and on their backs they each had a sheathed short sword. Both were in colors that matched their own. In addition, Sakura and Hinata's suits had skirts. Whoa! Look at us! Naruto marveled at his red suit. This is kinda weird, Sakura commented as she looked over her pink suit. Huh. My gourd isn't there, Gara commented as he looked over his shoulder, at his sword. I guess it disappears when I morph. Okay, now that we've got these things activates, let's get back into this battle, Sasuke said. Hell yeah, I'm ready, Naruto agreed. Oh, and one other thing my dad told me. Since your Hokage didn't have much time to explain things to you guys, I'm gonna guess he didn't tell you this either. Gara said. We're supposed to keep our identities secret from anyone other than the Hokage and those that they choose to tell about the morphers. Back with Kakashi and the others, they were having a bit of trouble with the beast that Kabuto had summoned. It seemed to be able to absorb any chakra-based attacks such as their ninjutsu, or channeling their chakra into a weapon like Asuma did with his trench knives. Its skin was also extremely hard, meaning their taijutsu had little effect as well. They weren't losing, by any means, since there was little it had done to them, and didn't seem able to keep up with them. But they weren't going to win at this rate. Man, what is this thing made of? Enko wondered out loud. Even my taijutsu is having little effect on it, Guy commented. Hey, Toby said with a wave of his hand as he landed next to it. So you're the ones Kabuto brought out the monster to fight, huh? Who are you? Kurenai demanded from him. Me? Why, I'm Toby. And Toby is a good boy, he said goofily. The five of them weren't really sure how to react to this newcomer. Anyway, bet you're wondering how you can beat our monster, don't ya? Well, sorry to tell you, but normal kinds of attacks don't work on our monsters. They're specially created so that you can't kill them. Well, at least, not by normal means. But I haven't seen any means that work on them yet. You can beat them up all day, and they still won't die. This doesn't look good, Kakashi commented, so you might as well give up now, cause you're not gonna beat it, so you can't win. Oh yeah? Well, we'll see about that, a new voice declared. Huh? Who's there? Toby said as he looked around in confusion. We're up here, the voice said, and everyone looked up and saw 5 people in different colored suits standing atop a nearby building. The 5 warriors stood in a line, with Hinata on one end, Sasuke next to her, Naruto in the center, Gara on his other side, and Sakura on the other end. Red Shinobi Ranger, Naruto said as he posed with his hands on his side. Yellow Shinobi Ranger, Gara said as he stood facing the side with his arms crossed. Black Shinobi Ranger, Sasuke as he drew the sword from his back and held his arm out and pointed it forward. Pink Shinobi Ranger, Sakura said as she held her fist forward. Blue Shinobi Ranger, Hinata said as she bowed briefly, and held her hands forward in her stance for using gentle fist. And we are, Naruto said, and paused briefly for dramatic effect. Power Rangers Shinobi, they all declared loudly in unison. Power Rangers, Asuma questioned. Oh wow, so cool, Toby marveled as he admired the group, their arrival, and their introduction. Toby is already a fan. What's with that idiot? Enko questioned as she stared at Toby. The 5 then leapt off of the building and stood between Kakashi and the other 4, and Toby and the monster. So, you think you can stand up to me? The monster growled. Oh, we don't just think we can, Naruto retorted, we know we can. Big talk. But let's see if you can back it up, the monster said as it charged at them. Sasuke, already having his sword drawn, dashed at it, and cut it, and for the first time since Kakashi had started to engage it, it showed signs of feeling pain. Whoa, that's a first, Toby remarked at the sight. I can do, Sasuke commented, because I'm not impressed. Why you? The monster remarked. Gara then turned to Kakashi and said, leave this thing to us. Why don't you go elsewhere and help defend this village? Alright, we'll leave this to you. Kakashi nodded and turned to the others. Come on, we trust these 5 to deal with the monster. Let's go and continue to fend off this invading force, he said to the others, and they left. Okay, ugly, get ready to lose, Naruto said as he drew his sword. He then charged at the monster, who also ran at him. Now ready for what had happened last time, it used its claw to block the sword, and kicked Naruto back. As that happened, Sasuke also ran towards it, and attempted to slash it, but his attack was dodge. Sasuke backed up to avoid its claw, and made several seals with his hands, and the panel of his mouth opened, and he shot a fireball out of his mouth. The monster then stood up, held up the hand, and absorbed the fireball. As it stood there cockily after what it had done, Sakura ran at it and punched it in the gut. It staggered back a bit, not going flying, but still feeling the attack. Before it could retaliate against Sakura, Hinata was upon it, and thrust her palm forward, sending it flying back with an pressure attack. As it landed on its feet, Naruto and Sasuke were already charging at it, and dashed past it simultaneously, slicing its sides with their swords. As it fell to its knees from the attack, Gara was next to come attack it. He held out his hand in front of him, and in it appeared a halberd with a large, yellow blade. Using it, he cut into the monster. Whoa, how'd you do that? Naruto questioned as ran over to Gara and admired the weapon. It's simple, just focus and think about it a bit, and you can summon your weapon, Gara explained. Doing as he said, Naruto held out his hand, and in it appeared another sword. It was a bit longer than his other one, with a red double-edged blade, and required him to hold it with both hands. As Naruto did that, Sakura also focuses, and on her hands appeared pink metal gauntlets. Hinata followed, and in her hand appeared a blue bow. Sasuke was the last, and in his hand appeared a black folding Fuma shuriken. As the monster got up, Naruto was already rushing at him, and slashed its chest, followed by Sakura running at it, and punching it several times, then with an uppercut, sending it flying into the air. As it flew up, Hinata aimed at it, using her Byakugan for help, and pulled back the string of her bow, and a blue energy arrow flew at it as she released the string, and as she did that, Sasuke threw his Fuma shuriken at it. The two attacks hit it at the same time, with the arrow piercing its chest and going through it, and the Fuma shuriken slicing it in half. The two halves of the monster then landed on the ground. The creature then reached out its hand weakly before it exploded, and where it had been, black ash now lied on the ground. "Oh yeah," Naruto said as he threw his fist into the air. "It's too early to celebrate, Naruto," Sakura said, looking to Tobi, who had remained there the whole time. "Wow, you guys are just the coolest," he said, "but wait, I shouldn't be exited. You guys beat our monster. That's bad, I better get out of here and tell Kabuto," and with that, the strange masked man fled. "What a strange person," Gara remarked. "Yeah," Sasuke agreed, "but we've got more important things to worry about. Come on. Let's try to find the Hokage, and try and lend a hand, Hinata?" "Right," she said as she looked around the village. "This way," she said, and she made her way in another direction, with the other four following. Back with the Hokage and the others, they were still fighting Orochimaru and his snake monsters. The two weren't as strong as them, but they shrugged off every single one of their attacks. "Damn, what is it going to take to put these things down for good?" Tsunade questioned. "No clue. It's just like Orochimaru. None of our attacks seem to have any effect on them," Jiraiya said. The two snake monsters charged at them one more, and they dodged them, then Tsunade punched one into the ground, while Jiraiya kicked the other away. After a second, the one Tsunade had punched got up, and was unharmed. "Damn, these things can really take a beating if they can get up like nothing after one of your punches," Jiraiya commented. With Orochimaru and Hiruzen, the battle had not grown easier for the old man. Orochimaru was clearly avoiding him to an extent, forcing him to use up the little stamina he had, and was going to finish him off once he was too weak to defend himself. Hiruzen was beginning to fear that he wasn't going to win this. With Tsunade and Jiraiya, the Cobra monster charged at them, but suddenly, several energy blasts began to hit it, as well as a single blue energy arrow. It cried out in pain, surprising the two, since nothing they had done had the same effect. Then, the 5 rangers landed in front of them, all but Hinata holding their blasters out. "We're here, just in time," Naruto said as he put his blaster back in the holster and summoned his personal sword. "Naruto, is that you?" Jiraiya asked. "Huh? How do you know it was me?" "This isn't the first time I've seen that suit," Jiraiya said, remembering when he had seen Minato wearing it. "It doesn't matter. Let's just get rid of this monster," Sasuke said as he summoned his Fuma shuriken and drew his sword. As the snake got up, Sasuke threw his Fuma shuriken, and as it flew at the snake monster, he and Naruto ran at the monster. The Fuma shuriken cut into the side of the monster, and Naruto discovered that his sword could split apart into 2 swords, and used them to slash into the monster with Sasuke slicing it as he ran past, and Naruto slashed the monster's chest in an X pattern. As Naruto flipped back, the Cobra monster exploded. Meanwhile, with the other snake monster, Sakura had already summoned her gauntlets, and was punching it several times. As she backed off, Gara thrust his halberd into the rattlesnake monster, followed by an arrow from Hinata's bow, and 2 more arrows after the first. Gara back off, and the rattlesnake monster exploded. Orochimaru had taken a look and watched his monsters get defeated. "So, they've transformed, and they're able to take out the monsters," he commented as he saw both of his snake monsters get defeated. Knowing they could be a problem, Orochimaru broke away from the 3rd Hokage, and with impressive speed, used his sword to cut each of the 5. With a single slash, they each then fell over and demorphed and returned to normal, weakened by the powerful strike. "Now, I think that I should eliminate this threat before it grows," he said as he raised his sword to strike them down for good, when suddenly, Hiruzen grabbed his arms, and he felt a ghostly hand grab into him. "I don't have the chakra to get all of it, but at the very least, I can weaken you, and save these 5. Hiruzen said as the ghostly hand pulled out 2 ghostly arms out of Orochimaru. Naruto and the others are going to be the future heroes of this village. I can't let them fall here. Hiruzen let out before he collapsed. The skin on Orochimaru's arms began darken, and the arms themselves grew limp, and he could barely feel them, and instead, a great pain filled them. My arms, what have you done to my arms? He screamed out. It was then that Kabuto and Tobi had appeared, and came to his aid. Lord Orochimaru, what's wrong? Tobi asked. My arms, you fool, I can't feel my arms, and instead of them, a great pain, he yelled at the mask. In another location of the village, Kakashi and his group had come upon the Sound Five and were ready to fight. Everyone, we're leaving. Kabuto's message appeared in each of their minds. What? But, Saken began to argue. Lord Orochimaru has been hurt. We need to retreat, Kabuto said, and any thoughts of resistance left. We'll be back, Tayuya said. Each of them, as well as the other three in another location in the village, pulled out a tag with a seal on it that Bega Vortex opened up, and each of them walked through theirs and vanished, and the paper with the seals were engulfed in purple flames and quickly burned away. As they vanished, so did all the remaining Auto foot soldiers. You think we're just gonna let you go? Tsunade said. You won't have a choice, Kabuto said as he held up one of the seals, and it glowed as a dark vortex opened up behind him and Tobi, and they quickly stepped through, with the seal burning away. Forget about them, Tsunade, Jiraiya said. Heal those 5. I'll take care of Hiruzen-sensei, he said as he walked over to his fallen master. Looking down at his form, despite what he had gone through, he had passed with a smile on his face. The next day, the entire village was present for a memorial service for Hiruzen and the other shinobi who had fallen in the attack. After it, Naruto and the other 4 stood in the repaired Hokage's office, along with Tsunade, who now sat at the desk, having taken the position of 5th Hokage, as well as Jiraiya, who was also there. I can't believe the old man's gone, Naruto said. He gave his life to save us, Sakura said. Don't be like that, you guys, Tsunade said. He chose to do it because he believed in you. You heard him, he said that you 5 are going to be heroes, and if that's what he bet his life on, you can guarantee that he believed it with every fiber of his being, Jiraiya said. And if that's what he believed, that is what I'm gonna believe as well. So are you up to it? Are you 5 going to keep being the Power Rangers? Tsunade asked. You can bet that the snake bastard might send more of those monsters, and you 5 are the only ones who can deal with them. You don't even need to ask. I'm gonna be Hokage someday, so I've got to be a hero. Plus that bastard still has Nagato and Konan. I've gotta save them too. I came to this village to do that. I'll remain here until my father calls me back. Of course I'm still in, Sasuke said. He's still got Itachi as well. Yes, I am still in as well, Hinata said. I want to help out any way I can. The 3rd Hokage gave his life to save us, so if he believes we can be heroes enough to sacrifice himself to make sure it happens, then I have to stay and keep doing this, Sakura said. Nice to know I can count on you all. It was a few days after the attack, and Tsunade had called Naruto and others to the Hokage's office. In there, Tsunade sat behind the desk, with Jiraiya present, as well as Tsunade's attendant, Shizune, whom had been informed of everything. Glad you all could come. First up, we're going to discuss this team and its operations. For starters, you're all being promoted to the special Junin rank. What? Really? Naruto asked, excitement at the prospect of a promotion. Yes. You 5 are going to officially be classified as a unique team, formed of members from both Konoha and Suna, reporting directly to me. Also, should the need arise, you will also answer to the case cage, she explained. As with the previous team, this team will still be dispatched on regular missions, but you will also be expected to defend this village if and when Orochimaru next attacks, since he's sure to send another of those monsters. There is also another duty that you 5 will have to fulfill. And that is? Sakura questioned. Follow me, and I'll show you, Tsunade said as she stood up, and she and Jiraiya led the 5 of them out of the room. They followed her down a hall to the very end of it, which at first appeared to be a dead end, but as she stopped, she revealed a hidden panel in the wall with a switch that she pulled. Then, the wall opened up to reveal a spiral staircase going down. They all went down it, and at the bottom, there was a large stone door. Tsunade then formed a few seals with her hands, and a design on the center of the door glowed, and it began to open. As they all entered, they saw a large and brightly lit chamber inside that was decorated to look like a normal room, and had machines, and various objects inside, and several doors on the far side of the room. This is known as the sealed chamber. According to Hiruzen, this chamber was discovered by my grandfather, the first Hokage. It's the reason Konoha was constructed here, Tsunade explained. Its use is twofold. The first is that it serves as a secret base of operations to be used by the ranger team. The machines there have a direct link to your morphers. You haven't been told yet, but your morphers have a special communication function to contact each other, as well as this room. You can also use the teleportation function to transport yourselves here, but unlike with teleporting to other morphers, you can only teleport here if you are within the village. And the second purpose of this chamber? Sasuke asked. I was getting to that. It's used to store certain items. Valuable treasures that we don't want to fall into anyone's hands, as well as objects considered dangerous, she explained. Dangerous? What do you mean? Sakura asked. For example, Tsunade began as she walked over to a door on the other side of the room, and opened it. Inside, they saw a dark jar-like object with glowing seals on it. It's something that the previous team had taken care of 16 years ago. During the Kyuubi attack, the fourth Hokage sealed something away in this container. What was it that he sealed away? Hinata inquired. We're not sure. He never got a chance to tell anyone, Jiraiya answered. As you all know, he sacrificed himself to seal away the Kyuubi inside of Naruto. Right. Naruto nodded. He had learned of the secret when he had become a ninja, and he had shared the secret with his friends that he trusted. However, the seal is a temporary one. We don't know what he sealed, but the reason you were being trained to become the next Power Rangers was to deal with it when the seal begins to deteriorate. It's also possible that Orochimaru could break the seal himself, if only to leave it to us to deal with it, Tsunade said. And that's only one of the secrets that are kept in this chamber. Orochimaru could try to steal any of them if he wants, Jiraiya said. Luckily for us, he doesn't know its exact location. Hiruzen-sensei hadn't told us where it was, and Tsunade and I only learned its location when she took up the Hokage position. Other than those present in the room right now, only a few others know its location, and they are Shizune, the village elders, and Gara's father. Speaking of Shizune, she'll be stationed here and act as support. She'll send you 5 your orders over your morphers communications, as well as provide you with whatever assistance you may need. Also, I'd like to give you all these, Tsunade said as she picked up several flak jackets on a table and handed them to each of them. There were 4 of Konoha's and 1 of Tsuna's, and each was modified from the standard ones. Each one was its standard color and possessed a secondary color matching each of their ranger colors. These were used by the previous team. Hey, pretty cool, Naruto said as he put his on, but leaving the front open. The others all put theirs on as well. And finally, while I'm going to trust each of your judgment on how you will use your new power, I must ask that you try not to use them recklessly. The ranger powers, and especially the identities of who has them, are supposed to be kept a secret. I've been wondering about that. Why do we need to keep them a secret? Sakura asked. It's so that those who are given them don't become targets. In the past, they have been highly sought after by all kinds, including criminals such as missing nins and nations not allied with us. It's bad enough Orochimaru knows about them. In fact, according to my grandfather's notes, Konoha used to one more shinobi morpher at one time, but it was stolen away. Really? What happened to them? Naruto asked. Tsunade shrugged. Who knows? His notes never elaborated. They just said that there used to be 6 at one time. Just then, Shizune entered into the room. I'm sorry to bother you, Lady Tsunade, but she said. Urgent? What is it? Several people were sighted yesterday in a nearby town. There were 3 of them, and according to the reports, they each possessed a headband with Otto's insignia on it. Shizune explained, then pulled out a photograph. This was taken today, and the 3 met with 5 others. And each of these 8 were present during the recent Otto attack on Konoha. They then left the town and headed towards the nearby mountains. Thank you for informing me, Shizune, Tsunade said as she took the photograph, then turned to Naruto and the others, and handed him the information. It looks like it's time for your first mission already. You 5 are to go and try to apprehend these people. At least one will do. We can interrogate them, and find out what they're up to and possibly even learn where Otto is. Right, the 5 said in unison. I'll be sending a team to back you as well. So, you 3 are sure you found it? Tayuya asked. Just because Lord Orochimaru is in no condition to punish you for it, doesn't mean you can screw up. She, as well as the rest of the Sound 5 followed Zaku, Kin, and Dosu through a forest. Of course, Tayuya, Dosu said, however, we are sure of. Well, let's hope so. At the base of the mountain, there's a cave. Kin said, inside that cave, there's a door with the seal that Lord Orochimaru described to us. The only question is behind that door anything that we're looking for? Saken said. Man, this is awesome, Naruto yelled out. Currently, he and the other four were traveling through the air on a platform of sand that Gara had created. This is pretty cool, Sakura agreed, and it's great for long-distance traveling. It is. It takes up quite a bit of chakra, but I recover quickly, especially if I'm not using my sand control techniques, which I probably won't be able to when I'm in my ranger form since my gourd goes away, Gara said. I see, Sasuke said. We're almost at the designated area, Hinata said as she scanned ahead. I don't see them, though. We should split up once we land, Sasuke said. We'll divide into 2 groups and search the area for anything, and contact each other with our morphers when we find anything. Beyond that, I'm going to check something else out while you guys search for them. According to information on this mountain, there's a cave with some ruins inside at the base of the mountain, so I'm gonna go check it out just in case they head there, Gara said. Really? Then why don't we all go check it out first? Naruto asked. We have no guarantee that they'll be heading there, so we can't all go there, but it is a definite possibility, so it's best if only one of us goes while the rest search the area. Sounds like a plan. Naruto agreed. So then, what will the groups be? Orochimaru howled in pain. He struggled as best he could, but his arms wouldn't budge. It was almost as if they weren't there, and yet they filled him with pain. Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto said as he entered the man's room. Kimimaro and the others have met up with Dosu's team. Good, he strained to say. While my plans have reached a setback, that doesn't mean I've abandoned them. As Kabuto was about to leave his room, Orochimaru spoke up. Wait, before you go, I have one last order for you. Yes, prepare a suitable vessel. With how long it will take to adjust, I'm going to need a new body as soon as possible. He hissed out. I refuse to go on using this now useless body. Yes, my lord, Kabuto said as he exited the room to fulfill his task. Naruto grumbled as he and Sasuke leapt through the trees side by side as they searched for any signs. The 2 groups had been decided by drawing straws, leaving both Naruto and Sasuke in one group, and Sakura and Hinata in the other. Man, I can't believe I'm stuck with you, he said. I'm not thrilled either. Let's just get this over with, Sasuke said. Yeah, just follow me, and we'll find them in no time, Naruto said as he attempted to take the lead, but Sasuke also quickened his pace. No way. If I let you take the lead, we'll never find them, or get anything done, Sasuke responded. What was that? Naruto demanded as he passed by Sasuke. You heard me, Sasuke stated as he passed Naruto. The 2 then were side by side once more, and made eye contact. You could almost see the metaphorical lighting coming from their glares. The 2 then started moving as fast as they could, and both of them landed on a large branch with a spider web on it. Wait, the 6-armed boy, Kidomaru said as he stopped suddenly, and the rest of the group did as told. They saw a spider that was far larger than average land on his shoulder. One of my spider threads have been tripped. So, we're being followed, Tayuya said. What should we do? Jirubo, the large boy asked. Saken, you can handle things from here. You and the rest can go on ahead, Kimimaro said as he turned around. I'll deal with whoever it is that seems to be following us, and with that, he turned around and headed off in search of the intruders. Try not to take too long, Saken called out as the team resumed moving forward. Meanwhile with Hinata and Sakura, the 2 of them had also been searching through the forest, with Hinata scouting ahead with the aid of her Byakugan. Maybe we should have divided the groups up differently, Sakura commented. Those 2 are probably bickering, and at each other's throats right now. Probably, Hinata said. Then, she suddenly noticed something. Focusing her sight, she saw several people moving through the forest. I think I found them, but wait, there's only 7. 7, but the intel said that there was 8, I know. Guys, Hinata has spotted them with her Byakugan, Sakura's voice said from everyone's shinobi morphers. But I only see 7 of them. We're not sure where the 8th one is, Hinata said. As Naruto and Sasuke continued through the forest, they were stopped a strange sword embedded into a tree in front of them. Turning in the direction it had been thrown, they saw Kimimaro standing with another sword in his hand. That's one of the guys from the photo Granny showed us, Naruto said, stating the obvious. I think we just found him, Sasuke said into his morpher. I recognize you too. According to Lord Orochimaru, you both are two of those that were chosen to become rangers. Kimimaro said. I definitely can't allow either of you to live then. That sounds like pretty big talk. Sasuke said as he drew the sword at his side, and his Sharingan activated. But can you back it up? I suppose you'll find out. And with that Kimimaro leapt from his tree to theirs, and sliced at their location with his bone blade, but both leapt out of his range, as he expected. He dropped his sword and raised his hands, and aimed them at both, and from his fingertips shot out high-speed projectiles at the two-leaf shinobi. Sasuke used his sword to deflect the projectiles while Naruto formed a seal, and a second Naruto appeared and threw him out of the way and took the hit from him, disappearing into a puff of smoke. Sasuke then retaliated by forming several seals with his hands and shot a fireball from his mouth at Kimimaro, who leapt out of the way as the tree he had been standing in was struck by the fireball. Not bad. He complimented them, then reached up to his shoulders with both hands and pulled out two new bone swords out. The three then leapt down to the forest floor, and engaged in close combat. Gara meanwhile, was currently at the cave in the mountain. When he entered, it didn't take him long to reach a large stone door with a seal on it that appeared to have been uncovered recently if some of the digging equipment was any indication. This looks like the sealed chamber that Tsunade showed us. He commented. Immediately, he formed the same seal he had seen Tsunade perform, but nothing happened. Looks like it doesn't open the same way. Gara wondered what to do next. He wasn't really an expert on either ruins or seals. He held his morpher up to his mouth and was about to open a channel to Tien. Suddenly a group of Otto's foot soldier ninja leapt out at him, as well as a beast that resembled a mole with a drill on its face and drills on each of its fingers. What are you doing here? The beast demanded. One of Orochimaru's bests, Gara thought to himself. I should be asking you that question. His gourd opened, and sand flew out at the monster. However, the monster just held up its hands as the sand came out, and as it struck it, the mole monster began to dig into the sand with its drills, and used it as a path to cuckily reach Gara. The sand shinobi quickly dispersed his sand, but the mole monster was already upon him. It then attempted to stab him with its drill claw, but made contact with his sand shield. However, the sand shield was quickly pierced by the monster's drill, and Gara leapt back. This monster is the worst kind of opponent for me, Gara said, and quickly called all of his sand back into his gourd. He then held up his shinobi morpher and activated it. Ninja art, shinobi change. With a flash of yellow light, Gara had changed into his ranger form. Naruto and Sasuke stood on either side of Kimimaro breathing heavily, while the leader of the Sound Five appeared to be fine. I seriously hope that this isn't the best that you two have, Kimimaro said. Why don't you two transform? It can't hurt your chances. Fine then. I'm not gonna hold back, Naruto said. Ninja art. Shinobi change. Naruto and Sasuke both called out as they activated their morphers. With flashes of red and black light, they both transformed into their ranger forms. Wasting no time, Sasuke drew his ninjutsu while Naruto summoned his red sword, and split it into its two blades. They both rushed at Kimimaro, and Naruto attacked with his two blades, only for Kimimaro to use his two bone swords, then ducked as Sasuke came at him from behind, and slashed the two with his bone swords, and the two staggered back, but were unharmed for the most part. I barely felt that, Naruto declared as he charged at him once more. I see those silly-looking suits actually serve a purpose, Kimimaro said as he blocked the sword. However, it makes no difference if you're slightly more durable. Neither of your skills are on par with mine. We'll see about that, Sasuke said as his black Fuma shuriken appeared in his hand, and he threw it at Kimimaro. Ducking under it, Kimimaro stuck one of his bone swords into the center hole, and used it to redirect the Fuma shuriken at Naruto, and it struck him, knocking him down. Kimimaro then rushed at Sasuke, and knocked his ninjutsu from his hand. Sasuke tried to retaliate with taijutsu, but just as he was about to make contact, bone spikes sprouted from Kimimaro's body, and Sasuke backed away, giving Kimimaro the opportunity to slash him with his two bone swords. Damn, this guy is strong, Naruto said as he got back to his feet. I hate to admit it, but I think that he's stronger than us. Sasuke didn't say anything, but he knew that Naruto had a point. Naruto, Sasuke, we need your help, they heard Hinata's voice in their helmets. We're a little busy here, Sasuke said. We know, but we're kinda outnumbered here, Sakura said. Sasuke, we have to help them out, Naruto said. Maybe, but we can't exactly just leave. I'm sure that this guy won't just let us leave, Sasuke stated. Your assumption is correct, Kimimaro said as he rushed at the two, prepared to resume his attack. However, he wasn't able to make it to them before he was interrupted. Leaf Hurricane. A voice called out, and struck Kimimaro with a powerful roundhouse kick, sending him flying back a fair distance, but he landed on his feet. The one who delivered the kick stood to the side, and was joined by 3 others. The one that had delivered the kick was Guy, and with him were the 3 members of his team and students, Rock Lee, Neji Hyuga, and Tenten. Looks like we got here just in time to lend a hand, Guy said, then looked over to Naruto and Sasuke. Hey wait, I recognize you both. You're 2 of the people that showed up and fought off Otto's monster during the invasion. Guy-sensei, so then these are 2 of those youthful warriors that you told us about? Lee asked. They look kinda strange with those suits, but I guess they must be pretty tough, Tenten said. Neji meanwhile wordlessly evaluated the duo. Hey, could we ask a favor of you guys? Naruto said. Our friends are in trouble, but this guy here won't let us go and help them. Why, of course, you have helped me, so it is my pleasure to return the favor, Guy declared. Besides, we were ordered to capture one of the Otto shinobi in this area, and here one is, Neji remarked. Thanks a lot, Naruto said, and with that, the 2 began to make their way to Sakura and Hinata's location. Kimimaro moved to intercept the 2 rangers, but Guy and Lee quickly moved to block his path, and Neji and Tenten moved in behind, surrounding him. With Sakura and Hinata, the 2 of them stood outside the cave, surrounded by the members of the Sound Five, as well as Zaku, Dosu, and Kin. The 2 had pursued the group to the cave entrance. Not in much hurry at this point, the Otto shinobi decided to have some fun with the 2 girls before completing their mission, and were toying with the 2. While the 2 girls were pretty skilled, 4 of them were beyond. So then, who gets the kill on these 2? Sakin asked the group. I think it's my turn, Tayuya said, and you owe me after you stole a few of my kills recently. That's fine. I don't like weaklings on my count, Kidomaru said. Don't be picky. That's why your count is way behind mine, Kimimaro's, and Tayuya's, Sakin said mockingly. Though it's not like Bone Boy ever keeps track of his. Well, forgive me for having standards, Kidomaru said. Besides, even I'm still way ahead of Jirubo. Hey, it's not my fault you guys are all so greedy with your own kill counts, Jirubo said. Or maybe it's because you're so damn lousy, fat ass, Tayuya said. You Tayuya, a young lady like yourself shouldn't speak that way. Up yours. If none of you can decide, just leave these 2 to us, Kin said. Yeah, I agree. No need for the Sound Five to always get all the fun, Zaku said. These guys, they're talking like we're just some mark on their records, Sakura thought to herself. Don't talk like we're gonna just go out easy. We can still fight back, she said. Hinata? Right, the Hyuga girl agreed, knowing exactly what her friend was getting at. Ninja art. Shinobi change. The both said as they activated their morphers. With flashes of pink and blue light, they both transformed into their ranger forms. Just then, a part of the mountain burst apart, and Gara and the mole monster came flying out. So, you guys came, Gara said. Yeah. Hopefully, Naruto and Sasuke are on their way, too, Sakura said. You mean us? Naruto yelled out as he and Sasuke leapt into the area. Wasting no time, Sasuke threw his Fuma shuriken at the Sound Shinobi, who all leapt out of its path. The other 2, huh? Looks like we've got all 5 rangers on our hands, Sakin commented. If these 2 were the ones following us, then Kimimaro must be slipping if he let them get away, Tayuya said. Now, let's deal with them all, and everyone, Toby called out as he entered the area. Oh wow, the Power Rangers are here too. Toby, what are you doing here? Sakin demanded irately. He couldn't stand the masked idiot. Me, oh, right, Toby came to tell you guys that Lord Orochimaru wants you guys to hurry up, the masked man said. Huh? Where's Kimimaro? He's off in the forest somewhere. Go find him and give him the message, Sakin said. HMPH, looks like I'll have to cut my fun short. Zaku, Dosu, Kin. You 3 stay out here with the monster and keep the rangers busy while the rest of us go break the seal. Right. Everyone nodded and went off to carry out their tasks. Naruto was about to follow after Sakin and the other 3, but was stopped as the ground suddenly collapsed under him as the mole monster struck the ground with its drills. As Naruto was struggling to get out, charged at him and held up his palm and fired a sonic blast of air pressure at him, though Naruto got out of there just in time. So, this is one of the sealed chambers created by the Sage of Six Paths? Sakin questioned. That's what Lord Orochimaru said. Tayuya said. According to him, sealed chambers are locations where inside, artifacts that belong to the sage himself are stored. Wonder what we'll find inside, Kidomaru said as he and the others began to form seals with their hands. Well, the only way we'll find out is if we open it up. The four then moved into a formation where Tayuya and Sakin kneeled in front of the other two, and from their palms appeared a dark light, and each linked together and formed a box that shot a beam at the door of the sealed chamber. Naruto dodged a punch from Dosu, though as he did, his ears started to hurt slightly, as he stumbled a bit when a strange feeling came over him. Kin threw several senbon at him, but each one was shot away by blue energy arrows from Hinata's blue bow. As she prepared to fire an arrow at Kin, she quickly leapt away as Zaku fired a blast of air pressure at where she had been. Zaku then fired another one as he saw Sasuke's Fuma shuriken flying at him. As he caught his deflected weapon, he charged at Zaku, but was temporarily halted as the mole monster appeared in his path, but continued as it was chased off Gara, who threw his halberd at where it was. When it leapt back to avoid it, Gara drew his ninjutsu, and leapt at the monster and sliced it across its chest. The monster was hurt, but it wasn't finished yet. As the monster got to its feet, Dosu, Zaku, and Kin leapt to its side. So, it's just like Toby said. These Power Rangers really can hurt Lord Orochimaru's monsters, Dosu stated. That really is a problem, Kin said. Forget about them, Sakin called out as he and the four members of the Sound Five exited the cave, with Sakin carrying a stang box. We've got what we've come for, so we're out of here. But what about, Zaku started, but stopped as he saw Tayuya pull out a tag with a stage seal on it. Like he said, we've got what we came for, so we're out of here. And I recommend you leave, too. That is if you don't want to get crushed once I use this, she said. Without hesitation, Dosu and his team each pulled out their teleportation seal, and the four members of the Sound Five pulled out theirs. As they activated theirs and the dark vortexes appeared, Tayuya threw the tag at the monster. A dark aura surrounded it and seemed to explode out, and suddenly, the monster grew to gigantic proportions. What the hell? It just got huge, Naruto yelled out in surprise. I don't know, Gara answered. He then looked around and spotted the cave. Let's retreat into there for now. We can devise a plan in there. Meanwhile, Kimimaro found himself to be on the ropes. Guy was indeed a skilled shinobi, and with the numbers against him like this, he might end up actually losing. If this keeps up, I may have to transform, he thought to himself. What is that thing? Tenten demanded as she saw the huge form of the monster rise up over the forest. I see they've used the growth seal, Kimimaro commented, as he noted that, he saw Toby appear from out of the forest. Hey Kimimaro, we've gotta go. If they used the growth seal, then that means they've got what we came for, he said. You're right, Kimimaro said as he pulled out his teleportation seal. Recognizing the seal, Guy called out to his team. Don't let him use that seal. On his order, he and his three students rushed at him, but they weren't fast enough. The dark vortex opened, and Kimimaro and Toby entered through it before it closed. Damn, they got away, Neji said. Guy-sensei, what are we going to do about that giant creature? Lee asked. I don't know, Guy answered, but we couldn't do anything even if it was normal size. All we can do is trust the Rangers. Now what? Sakura asked. We can't stay here long. That monster might not be big enough to bring down this mountain right away, but with those drills that it's got, it will get in here soon enough. As if hearing her, they felt the mountain begin to shake, and it sounds like it's already started. Looking around, they saw Gara walking further inside. Hey Gara, where are you going? Naruto called out to him. While we're in here, I want to check out what those guys did in here, he answered. When I checked out this place earlier, I saw a door that looked like the one to the sealed chamber that Tsunade showed us. What? Hinata asked, surprised by what he had told them. We've got time, and we might not get a chance to check this place again. I agree. Let's check this thing out. Sakura agreed, and with that, the four followed Gara further into the cave. Inside, they reached the location he had described, and found that the door had been opened. How did they get this thing opened? When I tried to open it the same way that Tsunade did, it didn't react, Gara commented. Walking inside, they saw that this one was much different than the one they had been shown earlier. The inside was smaller, and less decorated, with plain stone walls. The only thing inside was a single platform with nothing on it, and two statues, one of a toad and the other a snake. Both statues also had the word, Zord, on the bases of the statue. You think they got that box they were carrying out of here? Naruto wondered out loud. That should be obvious, Sasuke answered. Glaring at Sasuke, Naruto walked over to the toad statue and examined it. Weird statue. What does Zord mean, anyway? Suddenly, his morpher began to react, and its screen lit up. Then, the toad statue began to glow, and suddenly glowed red, and began to shrink and its shape change. It became a card with a picture of a toad on it. What just happened? Then, information appeared in front of his eyes on the visor, telling him about the card, what it did, and how to use it. Oh wow! This is so awesome, he yelled out. What is it? Hinata asked. This statue, according to the stuff appearing on my visor, I put this card in my morpher, Naruto said as he held the card over his screen. The card glowed red, and transformed into a red light, and was sucked into his morpher. And now, I can summon this Zord whenever I want, and I'm gonna go use it to go fight that monster, and with that, Naruto started to make his way outside. So, this thing can fight the monster when it's big, huh? Sasuke said as he looked over to the snake statue. I hope you guys don't mind, but I'll take this one. And with that, as Sasuke approached the snake statue, and his morpher began to react like Naruto's had, and the snake statue glowed black and transformed into a card with a picture of a snake on it. Like with Naruto, information on it appeared on his visor, and he held it over his morpher and it turned into a black light and went inside. I'll go lend the idiot a hand, he said, and he and the other followed Naruto outside. As the monster saw them come out, it stopped drilling into the mountain and attempted to step on them, but they got out of the way and avoided being crushed by its foot. Okay, now get ready, ugly, Naruto taunted as he pressed a button on his morpher, and a picture of a mechanical toad appeared on the screen. Ranger arts. Summoning jutsu, he said as he formed seals with his hands. Toad Zord, he said as he slammed his palm into the ground. There was a bright flash of red light, and suddenly a giant, red mechanical toad had appeared out of nowhere, with Naruto standing atop its head. Sasuke pressed a button on his morpher, and a picture of a mechanical snake appeared on the screen. Ranger arts. Summoning jutsu, he said as he formed seals with his hands. Snake Zord, he said as he slammed his palm into the ground. There was a bright flash of black light, and suddenly a giant, black mechanical snake had appeared with Sasuke standing atop its head. Whoa! Sakura let out as she marveled at the sight of the two Zords. Okay Toad Zord, let's take out this thing. The Toad Zord pulled out a sword with its front hand. This thing kinda reminds me of Gamabunta, Naruto commented to himself. With a powerful leap, the Toad Zord was high in the air, and came down with its blade at the monster, who blocked it with its drills. As it did this, Sasuke's Snake Zord quickly slithered at the mole monster, and wrapped around it, and bit into it. The monster yelled out at pain, and before it could do anything, the Toad Zord stabbed it as the Snake Zord released it. The monster then yelled out in pain once more before a dark aura surrounded it, and it returned to normal size, and dissolved into black ash. Yeah, we did it, Naruto cheered as his and Sasuke's Zords vanished as well, and they rejoined their team. Sometime later that day, the five stood in Tsunade's office after having given their report. I see, Suande said. So there was another door just like the one to the sealed chamber. Yes ma'am, Gara said. We don't know what the auto group took from it, though, Sakura said. We're sorry Tay mission was a failure, Hinata apologized. It's alright, Tsunade reassured her. Jiraiya let out as he contemplated. I think I'm gonna leave the village for a while. He then said, I'm gonna investigate what Orochimaru is due to, as well as look for information on that chamber and possibly others like them. If there's two, there's a possibility that there are more. Right. Tsunade agreed. And while you do that, I'll be checking out the Hokage's records in the sealed chamber. There's a lot of them in there, from all four of the past Hokages, as well as other secret records. And by, she'll check them, she means that she'll have me check them, Shizune said with a sigh. And in the meantime, we'll deal with anything else Orochimaru sends our way, Naruto said, and the others agreed. So, this is what you found in the sealed chamber in the mountain? Orochimaru asked as he looked over the box that had been set on the table. Yes, Lord Orochimaru, Sakin said as he and the others were kneeling before him. Good work, he said as a wicked grin appeared on his face. I wonder what's inside. It could be anything. A legendary tool that the sage used, or perhaps a one-of-a-kind scroll. It could even be a shinobi morpher, since there are others. He then walked away. I'll have to begin working on unsealing this as soon as I transfer into my new body. In the meantime, continue searching for the next sealed chamber. Naruto took a seat at his favorite place to eat, Ichiraku. Hey old man, we're here for a bite to eat, Naruto said as Sakura and Sasuke took seats on either side of him. Hey there you three. The owner, Tucci, greeted them. I heard you guys were stopping by, so I've been expecting you. Almost got your usual dishes ready. Sakura looked around the stand, wondering where a certain masked Junin currently was. Kakashi-sensei isn't here yet, she pointed out. He better not show up late like always did back when we were genin, Sasuke growled in annoyance. Who better not be late? Kakashi asked as he took a seat at the stand. Kakashi-sensei, you're actually on time, Naruto greeted the Junin. This is a first, Sakura commented with surprise. I don't think I've ever seen you be on time for anything. This is the first time in a long while that the four of you have all been by together, Tucci said as he and his daughter Ayame set a bowl down in front of each of them. Yeah, I know, Sakura said. We've been real busy. Team 7 hasn't done anything together since we were selected for that training. Oh hey, you're right. Naruto realized. I mean, I saw you and Sasuke all the time, but we barely ever saw Kakashi over the last year. Well, I was pretty busy as well, Kakashi said. Once they took you guys off my hands, I kept getting swarmed with ANS-ranked solo missions. That's what you get when you're one Konoha's top shinobi, Sakura said with a smile. Everyone always says how you're the best in the village, right under the Sannin. And we've always been proud that you're our teacher, Naruto joined in, then turned to Sasuke. Hey Sasuke, say something instead of just sitting there quietly. What's there for me to say? You two have been praising him enough, Sasuke said, and you know I don't do praising, even if I respect the person. Why do you always have to be so stuck up, Sasuke? Naruto said as the two glared at one another. Knock it off you two, Sakura said with a groan. She hated when the two got like this. Fine. If funny how easy it is for us to seemingly pick things up like we used to. Kakashi mused with a chuckle. It's almost like we were meeting like this just yesterday. After that, the four all began to eat from the bowls in front of them, with Naruto finishing his first, and getting another. Kakashi also managed to finish his in an instant when the three weren't looking, but they stopped being impressed by that trick ages ago. After a bit, Kakashi spoke up again. So, Tsunade has decided to inform me of the details of your new, special team. Really? So then, you know about these? Naruto asked as he slurped down some noodles and held up his morpher. Kakashi nodded. Yeah, I've been filled in on everything. Tsunade has decided to bring me in to help oversee your team's training, and lend you all a hand when you need it. You three, as well as Gara and Hinata, need to keep up your training, but with Jiraiya leaving the village for a while, Tsunade now the Hokage, and Orochimaru's betrayal, you obviously need someone else. So we get to work together again, huh? Naruto asked rhetorically. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, me too. Sakura agreed with the blonde. I have to admit, I missed the days when it was the four of us on a team. I always liked you better as a teacher than Orochimaru, Sasuke said. I always found that guy creepy, even before I knew he was a traitor. Well, it's nice to know my old students missed me, Kakashi chuckled out. In another part of the village, Gara was currently walking into the apartment that he was staying in. The building was normally used by shinobi visiting from other villages, usually those competing in the Chunin exams when they took place in Konoha. The apartment was a moderate size, and there was plenty of room. This is the place, he said facing outside the door, and shortly after, two others walked in carrying a few boxes. One of them was a boy, and the other was a girl, and both of them were his older siblings, Kankuro and Temari. Huh, so this is where we're staying? Temari asked. Looks kinda small compared to our own home back in Suna, Kankuro commented. Don't be so picky, Kankuro, Gara said. Of course it's smaller than our home. It's only an apartment, while our home is the Keisuke Estate. However, it's good enough. Several Suna shinobi had been stationed in Konoha, themselves included. The official reason, as far as all of them except Gara knew, was to aid its ally against its new threat, the Sound Village, but the true reason was as a cover for Gara's stay in Konoha. The shinobi morphers seemed to somehow be able to recognize what village its user was from, and would identify him as such on the helmet of the suit. So, once the rangers started to become more well-known, even though it would be known that one was from Suna, it wouldn't be as obvious to who it was, even if the Power Rangers were based in Konoha. In an indoor training area of the Hyuga estate, Hinata was currently sparring with her cousin, Neji. Evading her attack, he stepped to the side, and with a swift motion, his palm struck her in the chest. "You're distracted, Hinata," Neji said. "You're not paying enough attention to our spar. If we had actually been fighting, the area I struck could have killed you if I had used any chakra in the attack." "I'm sorry," she apologized. "It's just, a lot has happened lately." She was of course referring to her new duties as a Power Ranger. "Plus, I have more than a bit on my mind." "Yes, I suppose so," Neji agreed. "Neji, can I ask you something?" "Yes, think that I'm a disappointment?" "No, of course not. Why do you ask?" "I always feel like my father is disappointed with me," she explained. "I feel as if no matter what I do, I'll never live up to his expectations." "I see," Neji said as he put a hand on her shoulder. "Listen, don't worry about it. Just do things to the best of your abilities. After all, you were good enough for the Hokage to promote you and make you part of a team that reports directly to her." Back at Ichiraku, Naruto and the rest of the group were reminiscing about the past when they heard a sudden beeping noise, and after looking around to make sure no one else was around, the group each looked to their morphers, and pressed a button, and Shizune could be seen on their screens. "What's up, Shizune? What do you need?" Naruto asked. "Lady Tsunade wants you all to report to her office. She has an important mission for the team," she replied. "No problem. We'll be right there," Sakura said, and with that, the tree pressed a button to end the communication. Not long after that, the team had assembled together in the Hokage's office. The five were standing in a line in front of her desk while Kakashi and Shizune stood off to the side. "So, what our mission, Granny?" Naruto asked. "I just received a message from Jiraiya," she said, placing a scroll on her desk. "In it, he says that he has acquired some information to the location of what might be another sealed chamber." "What, really?" Sakura asked. "Well, he's not certain what it is, but he claims the source is a reliable one, so there is going to be something there," Tsunade said as she handed the scroll to Naruto, and he opened it and he and the other four looked it over. He would check it out himself, but it's closer to Konoha than to his current location. "So, I'm going to send you five, as well as Kakashi and Shizune to check it out." "Right," everyone said. Meanwhile, back in Otto, Orochimaru was clenching and unclenching the hands of his new body. His face was currently covered in bandages, having surgically altered the face to look like his old one. "Yes, this body shall do nicely," he remarked. "I'm glad it's to your liking, Lord Orochimaru," Kabuto said. Orochimaru then walked to a nearby table, where the box that the Sound 5 had recovered was. "It will take a while until I'm back to my full strength, but in the meantime, I can at least start working on getting this thing open." "Of course," Kabuto agreed. "By the way, according to intel, it appears that we've already located another sealed chamber." "Really now? Well then, dispatch the Sound 5 to its location." "I already have, Lord Orochimaru," Kabuto said as he adjusted his glasses. "I also gave them one of your creatures, just in case they run into any problems." The five rangers, Kakashi and Shizune, made their way through a forest. After traveling on foot for about an hour and a half, they were nearing the location in Jiraiya's message. "So, say we do find a sealed chamber, what are we gonna do?" Naruto asked. "I mean, Gara said the last one didn't open the same way as ours, so then what if this one is the same?" "Naruto has a point," Sakura agreed. "That's probably why Tsunade sent me and Shizune," Kakashi said. "We both have some experience with seals, so we're going to try and decipher it and get it open. Plus, Lady Tsunade gave me some of the first Hokage's records and notes pertaining to the sealed chamber in Konoha," Shizune said. "According to them, the chamber was first opened a different way than the seal we currently use, which was put on it by the first Hokage. So hopefully, I can use them to find a way to open it if we do find a sealed chamber." "Makes sense," Sasuke said. "We're almost there," Hinata said. "I see the entrance to a cave coming up." Shortly after, the group arrived at said cave entrance. "Good," Kakashi said. "Hopefully, we won't run into any trouble." Unfortunately, right as soon as he said that, he regretted it. Several bone spikes embedded in the ground in front of them. Looking in the direction the attack had come from, they saw several familiar figures. Well, we meet again, Power Rangers, Saken said mockingly. It's you guys, Naruto said. Yes, it's us. Kidomaru responded, his tone just as mocking as Saken's. Nice to know we'll get to finish what we started last time. Running into you reminds me of something I've been wondering. Tayuya said. Tell us, how did you dumbasses manage to take out that giant monster last time we met? Like we're just gonna tell you. Sakura said, it doesn't make a difference. Kimimaro said, drawing a sword from his shoulder. You four, summon the monster Kabuto gave us to aid us in eliminating these pests. He commanded his team, and the members of the Sound Five other than himself each formed a seal with their hands, and a cylindrical coffin appeared before them. The container then opened, and out stepped a humanoid creature that resembled an ox. It had large, muscular arms, and a pair of horns on its head, as well as a ring in its nose. One of those monsters, huh? Okay then, you guys know what to do, Naruto said. Ninja art. Shinobi change. The five said in unison, and they were engulfed in a light of their respective ranger color as they transformed. All right guys, let's take this thing out, Naruto said as he drew his ninjutsu and prepared to charge. Wait, Kakashi said as he blocked Naruto's path with his hand. He then pointed towards the cave, where the Sound Five was entering. I'll hold this thing off for now. You five and Shizune follow them. If they're here, then I'll bet there really is a sealed chamber in there. Don't let them get their hands on whatever is in there. Right. Okay you guys, let's do what he says, Naruto agreed. Just be careful, Kakashi-sensei. And with that, the six pursued after the Auto Shinobi. As they quickly ran towards the cave, the ox monster began to charge at them. Don't think I'm just going to let you get away, it yelled out. As it charged forward, Kakashi then jumped in its path, and formed a series of seals, and a wall of earth rose up in front of him. Ha, do you really think that is going to stop me? That won't even slow me down, it declared, and sure enough, it rammed into the wall, and it shattered into pieces. But the ox didn't stop, and it continued forward, and rammed its horns right through Kakashi's chest. However, his body then turned into lightning, and electrocuted the monster. The real Kakashi then bust out from the ground a distance away, and after making a series of seals, quickly pulled down his mask to shoot a fireball from his mouth before pulling it back up. The fireball hit the monster, and while it couldn't kill it, it did send it flying back. I might not be able to kill you, but I don't think that you could kill me either, Kakashi said. Inside the cave, the Rangers and Shizune saw the Sound Five approaching what was definitely the entrance of a sealed chamber. Hold it right there, Naruto called out to them. Huh? Saken let out as H and the rest turned around to face them. Followed us already, huh? Man, that monster wasn't good for much. Left that one guy behind when only you Rangers can kill those monsters, did you? Kidomaru commented. Pretty cold of you. That's what you think. Kakashi-sensei can definitely handle himself. Sakura said. There's no way that monster of yours could beat him. Maybe. Tayuya said. But I doubt the same could be said about you dumbasses. Like Kidomaru said earlier, let's finish what we started last time. Naruto, can you and the others distract these five for as long as you can? Shizune whispered. While you guys keep them busy, I'm going to try and open the sealed chamber. Got it. Naruto agreed, and the other nodded in agreement. Let's go, and with that, the five ranger ran forward, each drawing their ninjutsu. Naruto rushed at Kimimaro, and their blades clashed. Kimimaro then aimed his fist at Naruto's midsection, bone spikes coming out of the knuckles. Before it made contact, Sasuke blocked it with his ninjutsu, and he and Naruto backed AWLY sheathed his ninjutsu, then summoned his personal sword, and swung it at Kimimaro, who jumped over it, and swung his bone sword at the seemingly defenseless Red Ranger. But before weapon made contact, it was blocked by Sasuke's ninjutsu. I'm borrowing this, Sasuke said as he quickly pulled Naruto's own ninjutsu out of the sheath, and aimed it at Kimimaro. Unfortunately, before his attack hit, a blade extended from Kimimaro's palm, and he deflected the ninjutsu, then landed on the ground and jumped back. Sasuke was about to pursue when suddenly, he was kicked by 3 legs at the same time. Hey, no fair, Saken said, and 2 of the legs retracted into the main one. You can't just hog 2 of them to yourself, Kimimaro. It's 5 on 5, so we should each get to kill 1. Don't talk like you can beat me, Sasuke said, slashing at Saken with 1 ninjutsu, and when that was dodged, he dropped it, and summoned his Fuma Shuriken and threw it at him. Sakin dodged it by leaping to the side, and Sasuke rushed at him as he kicked the ninjutsu he had dropped into his hand, slashing at him with both blades, which Sakin caught with his hands. As Sasuke stood his ground, he aimed his knee at Sakin's stomach, where another hand sprouted out and caught it. Please don't tell me this is all you got. Sasuke remained silent, watching as his Fuma shuriken came flying back, just as he had planned. However, before it cut into Sakin, the head on his back looked up, and another hand sprouted out and threw a large rock on the ground near his feet, and knocked the Fuma shuriken off course. Stop being so careless, Sakin. The head said, you know I hate it when you're careless, because it means that I have to fix your mistake. Oh, lighten up, Yukon. Sakin said to his brother. I only get careless because I know you've got my back. After all, you are always on my back. Meanwhile, Kimimaro then started to run towards Shizune, who was over by the door of the sealed chamber. You didn't seriously think none of us would notice, did you? He said as he was about to stab her with his blade, but he was blocked by Naruto, who was joined by 2 others, and from behind Kimimaro, 3 more Narutos leapt in. You want to get to Shizune, you gotta go through me. All 6, and counting, Naruto taunted, and making a hand seal, several more appeared. That won't be a problem, Kimimaro said as he cut down one of the clones, and it disappeared. As Naruto and Sasuke fought with Kimimaro and Sakin, Sakura attempted to cut Tayuya with her ninjutsu, who blocked the blade with a flute, then kicked the pink ranger away. Recovering quickly, Sakura dashed at the girl again, throwing her ninjutsu this time, which Tayuya deflected with her flute. As that happened, Sakura summoned her gauntlets, and as she was close enough, tried to punch her enemy with everything she had. However, Tayuya was quick to avoid the blow, and leapt out of the way as Sakura shattered a pillar that had been behind the sole female of the Sound 5. Looks like you've got some power in those punches of yours, she said. Too bad you'll never be able to hit me. As for Gara and Hinata, they were standing back to back with one another, with Jirubo and Kidomaru standing across from them. Kidomaru then spit out a web from his mouth at the 2, and they leapt to the side to avoid it. Be careful of the webs. I can see that they have chakra running through them, Hinata warned. Got it, Gara said. As they landed, Jirubo ran at them and tried to ram them with his shoulder. As they leapt up, Hinata saw Kidomaru spit out a thread of web, and the tip hardened and formed a sharpened point, and watched as it came right at her. As she landed, she quickly jumped out of the way to avoid it, but she saw that it somehow completely changed directions in midair, and continued to fly at her. She attempted to run in a different direction, but it still followed her. He must be using his chakra flowing through it to manipulate its direction, she thought to herself, and summoned her bow. Dodging it once more, she quickly took aim, and fired an arrow at the thread, but it was unable to pierce it. No good. Then, she took aim once more, and this time fired at Kidomaru himself. Still not good enough, he said as he leapt out of the way, his thread still in his mouth. His thread continued to fly at Hinata, and though she saw it coming through her Byakugan, she was unable to dodge it in time, and it struck her in the back, though his suit took the brunt of the damage. As for Gara, he continued to dodge Jirubo's attacks, not having any particular difficulty. The boy was large, and didn't seem to be all that fast. Seeing a chance, Gara summoned his halberd, and ran at him, but Jirubo stood his ground. Just as he was about to be struck, Jirubo caught the weapon, and used it to pull Gara into his reach, and sent the Yellow Ranger flying with a mighty punch, and hit the cave wall. It hurt, but that wasn't enough to put him out of the fight yet, and he quickly got to his feet. I'll have to be careful not to get hit by him, he thought. Damn. I was hoping that would have been enough, Jirubo said. I guess I should have put more into that punch. Back outside, Kakashi leapt out of one of the monster's charges, then ran at it from behind, and hit it with one of his Reikiris. The monster stumbled, but as he expected, it didn't have much effect. The ox monster swung his fist in retaliation, and hit the Junin, but it was only a clone, and disappeared as soon as it was hit. From a nearby hiding spot, Kakashi observed the situation. The creature was tough, and he knew that nothing he did would have much effect, if any at all. However, he needed to stall for as long as he could. He just hoped that Naruto and the others were faring well. He then leapt out from where he had been hidden, and formed a few seals, and shot a fireball from his mouth at the creature, and it was hit once more. It may be taxing on my chakra using all of these jutsu, but engaging this thing in close combat would be suicide, he commented. Back inside, the Rangers were not faring very well. Kimimaro had defeated all of Naruto's clones, leaving the real one on the defensive. Nearby, Sasuke was also having trouble trying to gain the upper hands against Saken, who would receive periodic assistance from his brother, Yukon, and Sakura was not doing any better against Tayuya. Elsewhere in the cave, Gara and Hinata were working together against Jirubo and Kidomaru, but even working together, the two weren't doing well, either. Meanwhile, as the fight raged, Shizune was not making progress on opening the sealed chamber. Oh, if only the first Hokage had left behind some sort of hint as to how he opened Konoha's sealed chamber, then maybe we could do the same with this one. She muttered to herself as she read through the records before her. As she did, Naruto suddenly landed on the ground next to her. Naruto, are you all right? Yeah, I'll be fine, he said as he got to his feet. Man, that guy that can use his bones as weapons is tough. No matter what I try, he counters it like it was nothing. Then, Hinata and Gara came flying into a nearby wall, after having been hit with a mighty punch from Jirubo, and were followed by Sakura, who landed nearby as well after being hit away by Tayuya. Damn, nothing we try is good enough against these guys, she said as the three of them got to their feet. Man, I'm getting bored with these guys, Kidomaru said. Yeah, Jirubo agreed. These so-called Power Rangers aren't very impressive. You can say that again, Tayuya agreed as she stepped next to them. I'm completely trashing that pink bitch. You should watch your language, Tayuya. It's not very appropriate for a young lady to talk like that. Shove it, you fat ass. As Sasuke fought with Saken, he blocked an attack, then leapt back to join the other four, and the Sound Five lined up across from them. Fighting them one-on-one isn't working, he said. We could try to work together and try to pick them off one by one. Nar, but that won't really work right now, Sakura said. I doubt that the other four would just stand by and let us all gang up on one. Yeah, at the very least, they would all try to take part with how much they seem to enjoy fighting, Hinata said. So then what are we gonna do? Naruto questioned out loud. As the five rangers stood together in front of the sealed chamber, the screens their shinobi morphers began to light up. Huh? What's going on? Behind them, the door of the sealed chamber began to glow. What the? Why is the sealed chamber reacting? Saken said. It doesn't matter right now, Kimimaro responded. Worry about why it's happening later. Right now, it's about to open, and we have to make sure that we retrieve whatever is inside of it. Yeah, the bone bastard is right. Tayuya agreed with the team's leader, and with that, the Sound Five began to run towards the sealed chamber. Here they come, Naruto said as he formed a set of seals. Sasuke, you and me will hold them off for as long as we can. The rest of you guys try to get in there and get whatever is in there before the Sound Ninjas. Right. The other Rangers and Shizune agreed. Several more clones of the Red Ranger appeared, and the doors of the sealed chamber began to open. Naruto, his clones, and Sasuke ran forward to delay the Sound Five, while the others ran towards the sealed chamber. While the group of Red Ranger and his clones and the Black Ranger managed to stop Saken, Tayuya, Kidomaru, and Jirubo from advancing too far, Kimimaro nimbly leapt over then, and kept on going towards the doorway. One of the Naruto clones was about to pursue him, but was literally stopped in his tracks by one of Kidomaru's webs. Heads up guys, one of them got past us, Naruto called out to the others. Inside the sealed chamber, Shizune and the other rangers saw a single platform, and on it was a box like the one they had seen the Sound Five take last time. Also inside were three statues, a bear, a crane, and a mole. And like the statues in the last sealed chamber, all three had the word Zord on their bases. Before they could do anything though, Kimimaro was inside the chamber as well. Thinking fast, Sakura quickly grabbed the box and tossed it to Shizune. Take it and go. We'll hold him off, she said. Don't let these guys get it. Right. Shizune agreed, and quickly began to make her way outside of the chamber. Kimimaro was about to pursue her, but was halted as the Rangers stood in his path. Looking at each one, he rushed for the one directly in front of him, which was Gara. The Yellow Ranger swung his halberd at him, and Kimimaro leapt over the weapon, then leapt up as Sakura charged at him. As he was in the air, he saw Hinata take aim at him with her bow, and pointed his hand at her as bones fired out of his fingertips at the Blue Rangers, and hit her causing her to drop her bow. Landing on the ground, he slashed her with his bone sword, and kicked her away, and she landed next to one of the statues. He then flipped back as the other two Rangers charged at him, and slashed the two with his bone sword. They staggered from the brief sensation of pain, though their suits protected them from any serious damage, and they recovered quickly. However, that brief moment was all that Kimimaro needed to pursue Shizune. Damn, he got past us quicker than I expected, Sakura said. Naruto and Sasuke weren't kidding when they said that guy was too good. Come on, let's go, Gara said. Wait, Hinata called out to the others, the statue she had landed next to, the crane statue, disappearing into a blue light as it turned into a card that she placed in her morpher. We shouldn't leave these here, they could come in handy later. Yeah, you've got a point, Sakura agreed, but let's hurry. She then walked to the bear statue while Gara walked over to the mole. The two statues glowed in their respective color and became cards, and they placed them in their morphers, and quickly ran out of the sealed chamber. Outside, they saw the remaining 4 members of the Sound 5 running towards the exit, with Naruto and Sasuke pursuing them. They quickly caught up, and saw Kakashi and Shizune standing together as the Sound 5 and the Ox Beast surrounding them. The gray-haired Junin was unharmed, but appeared to be breathing a bit heavily. Without hesitation, Naruto, Sasuke, Gara, and Sakura all rushed towards the enemy group while Hinata took aim with her bow. It didn't take the Sound 5 long to notice them, and they all leapt away, except for Kimimaro, who charged forward. Kakashi acted quickly, pulling out a pair of kunai and using them block Kimimaro's bone swords. Meanwhile, the other 4 avoided Hinata's energy arrows, and Kidomaru spit out a pair of spider threads that surrounded the 4 rangers. Naruto and Sasuke were able to get away from them in time, but Sakura and Gara weren't as lucky, and the threads wrapped around and bound the two together. The panel of Sasuke's helmet opened, and several fireballs shot out at the Auto Shinobi. Kidomaru used a spider thread to pull himself away, but the others weren't able to dodge them all, so Tayuya and Sakin did the next best thing, and the two leapt behind Jirubo and used him as a shield. The flames struck the large boy, and Thaw was hurt, he wasn't out of commission. Hey, how could you two do that to me, he complained. Oh, shut it, fat ass, Tayuya said. Yeah, she's right, Sakin agreed. It's not good if we all got hit. Tayuya and I are stronger than you. And not as fat, Tayuya added. Right, that too, so it was only fair that we use the weakest member of the group for our own safety. And besides, you're fine on your way. With Kakashi and Kimimaro, the ox monster came charging towards him, and he was forced to pull away to avoid being rammed into. This left Kimimaro to charge at Shizune, who still held the box. Knowing she couldn't let the enemy get a hold of whatever was inside, she acted quick and spit out a poisonous gas from her mouth, but Kimimaro leapt over it, and from a distance, a spider thread wrapped around her, and prevented her from moving and caused her to drop the box. Kimimaro then picked up the box, and just as he was about to give the command to retreat, he heard a sound that resembled the chirping of a large number of birds, and saw Kakashi charging at him. Not wanting to be hit with the technique, he leapt out of the way, and Kakashi followed. Knowing that the Konoha Junin wouldn't give up easily, he leapt away, and just as he was about to be struck down, he was pulled to safety by Kidomaru's spider threads, and Kakashi's attack struck the ox monster that came charging towards him. Damn, Kakashi said as he leapt away as the beast recovered. That was my last rakery. I don't have much chakra left after that. Everyone, ready your teleportation seals, Kimimaro said as he was still being pulled towards Kidomaru by his thread. We're leaving now that we. Like we'd let you get away with that, Naruto yelled out, and Kimimaro turned to see Naruto and Sasuke charging at him, Naruto holding a sphere of swirling chakra, and Sasuke's fist surrounded by lightning chakra. Both were using their strongest techniques, the Rasengan and Chidori. On reflex, Kimimaro held up his hand to protect himself, momentarily forgetting that it was holding the box from the sealed chamber. The two attacks collided with the box, and then there was a blinding flash, followed by a small explosion that was strong enough to send the Thee flying away from it. Ow! Naruto let out as he got back to his feet. Looking at where the explosion took place, he saw the box had been blown to pieces, and the remains of what appeared to resemble a destroyed shinobi morpher were with it. Lord Orochimaru won't be pleased, Sakin commented. Yes, but I'm sure he'd rather it be destroyed than for Konoha to get their hands on it, Kimimaro said. But that doesn't mean we have to let this go unpunished. Tayuya, use the growth seal. Right, she agreed as she pulled out said seal while the others each pulled out their teleportatwas, freeing Sakura and Gara. Kakashi was picking up Shizune, and Naruto and Sasuke ran over to the other 3 rangers. They all watched Tayuya through the seal at the ox monster, and like last time, a dark aura surrounded it and seemed to explode out. The monster grew into a giant. The Sound Five then all retreated through the dark vortexes. Oh man, they got away, and now we've got to deal with this giant, Naruto complained. Don't worry, Gara said, we can help out this time. We found more Zords back inside the sealed chamber. Really? All right then, let's do this. Ranger arts, summoning jutsu, they all called out in unison as they formed the proper seals, then slammed their palm into the ground. Toad Zord, Naruto called out as he stood atop his red Toad Zord. Snake Zord, Sasuke called out as he stood on the head of his black Snake Zord. Bear Zord, Sakura yelled as she stood atop a pink Bear Zord, which was the largest of the 5 mechanical animals. Crane Zord, Hinata called out, now standing on the head of a blue, mechanical crane, which was the smallest of the 5. Mole Zord, Gara called out, standing on the head of a yellow mole. Ha! You think those toys will help you against me? The ox monster taunted. Oh, they'll more than help, Naruto retorted. Suddenly, each ranger started to glow, and were then transported into a cockpit inside of their Zords. Huh? How'd we? Forget about that. Let's take this thing down, Naruto yelled out, and the Toad Zord responded to him by leaping at the ox monster with its sword to cut it down, but the blade was caught in mid-air, and the Toad Zord was flung away. Naruto, be careful, Sakura said as an image of her appeared on the screen of his cockpit. Kakashi-sensei and Shizune are down there, we need to take this fight away from them, she said, and the Bear Zord charged at the beast and stood on its hind legs, and struck it with its claws and sent the monster back a fair distance. Angered, the giant began to charge at Sakura's Zord, but halfway before it got to her, its leg suddenly fell into a hole, and Gara's Mole Zord emerged from the ground. As it did, Hinata's Crane Zord came flying by its head, and as it tried to hit it out of the air, Sasuke's Snake Zord came at it from behind, and wrapped around it, and bit into it. The monster yelled in pain, and then used its strength to break free from the Black Zord's grip. It then charged towards Naruto and Sakura's Zords, and rammed into them, and they were sent flying back. Damn, this thing is tough, Sakura said. Yeah, Naruto agreed. What else can these Zords do? We need something to take out this thing, Sakura said, and as if to answer her, information appeared on the screens of each ranger's cockpit. Huh? What is this? Sasuke said. It looks like it's telling us to, Hinata said, letting her voice trail off. Oh yeah. Well guys, how about we bring these things together? Naruto asked. Right. Everyone agreed. The Toad Zord leapt high into the air, and the Bear Zord stood on its hind legs, and its legs and arms folded into its body, and its body split in half as the area under its head extend up, and it became a pair of legs. In the air, the Toad Zord's limbs also folded into its body, and it landed and attached to the Bear Zord. Sasuke's Snake Zord then split into 2 parts, and the smaller end with head, attached to the right side of the Toad Zord. The head stuck out at the shoulder, and a hand came out from the other end. Meanwhile, Gara's Mole Zord folded around until it formed a large claw, and attached to the other side and formed the left arm. Then, on the remaining end of the snake's tail, a segment opened and the snake arm grabbed it, as a staff was formed. Then the Toad Zord's sword attached to the end of the Snake Zord's tail, and formed a spear. The Crane Zord then folded so that the wings were aimed toward its back, and its neck folded back while the head still faced forward. It then landed on the Toad Zord and a panel folded open to reveal a face. Shinobi Megazord. All 5 yelled out as the Megazord spun its spear, and held it in front of it. You think combining is going to do you any good? Don't make me laugh, the ox monster said as it ran at them. Then don't laugh, Naruto said as the Megazord leapt over the monster and stabbed it in the back with its spear. The monster staggered forward, and turned to face the Shinobi Megazord just as it struck it with its claw arm. The claws then folded together and formed a drill, and it struck the chest of the monster, and it yelled in pain. Now let's finish this, Naruto yelled out as the Megazord held its spear in the air. Raiden, Sasuke yelled out as lightning struck the spear and electrified it. Kaden, flames shot out of the Megazord's mouth, and the spear was then surrounded by flames as well. Fuuten, Naruto said as wind spiraled around it. The 3 elements the focused into the blade, and it shone brightly as the power flowed through it, and an aura of chakra in the colors of the 5 Power Rangers radiated from it. Shinobi Spear burst. They all yelled in unison as the Shinobi Megazord threw its spear at the ox monster, and it pierced through its body. the Shinobi Megazord turned away as the beast yelled out in pain one final time before it exploded into ash. Later that day, the group all stood in Tsunade's office, the broken pieces of the box and Shinobi morpher placed on her desk. I see, she said. Well, at least this didn't fall into the wrong hands. Yeah, Naruto said, but those guys from Auto, the Sound 5, they're really tough. I know. I don't think we would have won that fight, Sakura agreed. Then we just get stronger until we can, Sasuke said. It's that simple. While you may have had difficulty, at least you discovered that all 5 of your shinobi morphers together can unlock the sealed chambers, Tsunade said. And as for getting stronger, that's what Kakashi is for. You 5 are dismissed. That Shinobi Megazord thing was pretty awesome, Naruto said. Yeah, I guess I have to agree that it was kinda cool, Sakura said. With it, we shouldn't have too much trouble, even if the monsters do grow that big again, Gara said. Anyway, I'm hungry, so let's celebrate a completed mission and get something to eat, you guys, Naruto said. So who is with me? The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next part.